I was gonna be like, okay, this episode's all right. Like, I didn't really, I was definitely not into what's going on here. Hold on a second. My other screen all of a sudden started making some noise. God damn it! Like, they make such a poor choice at the end. It's such a poor choice that you can frickin' like ruin the entire episode by doing something so fucking stupid at the end. Like, how can anyone accept, like, how can anyone stay in like realism of anything when that ending comes on? Come on. Like, I was in a really bad, like, the first scene for me was horrible. Like, the Rhea Royce shit was just really, really bad. Like, you had this opportunity to have all this, like, clever play between, like, Damon and his wife, and to see, like, how that relationship is, you know? You had all this opportunity, and then you just waste it with Damon being completely silent. And then her just, like, falling off a horse for no reason. Like, for no reason at all. Like, she's not even riding. She's just, the horse just goes nuts. Like Damon is the horse whisperer now, and he has, like, telekinetic connections to horses. Like, yes, I understand that I believe that Targaryens have like, telepathic connections to dragons and can control them. But, like, to fucking horse all of a sudden, and then to have him crush the skull, like either have her, like, fall off and die right there and leave like Damon a little innocent, or don't. Like, I don't know what the hell fuck he was doing, like, with that horse. Like, how, like, don't they have security? Like, how is he just in a cloak in the middle of nowhere, horse whispering, warging the fucking horse, like Bloodraven warging the boar and killing Robert, like, out of fucking nowhere. That put me in a bad mood. I was like, that's a really bad scene. That's a really, really bad scene. What a waste. What a waste. Because first of all, in the book, like, Damon's not even there. So we're left with extreme ambiguity on whether Damon had anything to do with Rhea's death. Which is good, because, like, when you read the books, it's really hard to find, like, single things that Damon does that are really bad, other than him, like, being an attorney with live steel and stuff. Like, everything you can like chalk up to Maester bias and, like, you know, him not being there. And you can always have an excuse for Damon. There's always an excuse for Damon, but, like, just anyway, the first scene, it was one little scene. Fine. The rest of the middle, okay. I'm digging everything. Everything's fine. And then you get to that fucking ending. Like, what? Like, how can anyone justify that ending? Can anyone justify, like, give me a good excuse for one? Like, give me motivation for why Kristen Cole would want to go kill that guy. Like, why? Like, if the secret's out, because he already knows that one, like, in Kristen's perspective, the secret's out, right? The secret was out so much that it went to Alicent. And then he told Alicent, so he knows that the secret's freaking out. And then Joffrey comes by and tells him again, the secret's out. Like, what's in his mind? Like, what is achieved by him killing this random dude who actually says, like, I'm going to keep your secret? Like, nothing, like, one, like, Kristen Cole's motivation completely, like, doesn't make any sense. And then two, like, murdering somebody in the middle of a wedding, like, and not just anybody, like, the best friend of the groom. And then afterwards, they're just gonna, like, and people being fine with that, him not getting executed immediately for that. And then for him to just be given, like, free reign of the castle. A fucking murderer. A murderer is given free reign of the castle to, like, walk out to the Godswood? Like, what does he fucking do? Like, what are they doing? And then, I'm sorry, somebody let the goddamn queen walk out alone into a courtyard with a fucking murderer? Like, what the fuck is going, like, while everybody else is just having this private ceremony, like, first of all, the queen would be at the fucking wedding. Like, I don't care how small that goddamn ceremony is. The queen's gonna be there. She's gonna be required to be there. But who is letting the queen go talk to a murderer in the courtyard like an hour after he fucking murdered somebody? What the fuck? Like this so on, like this just like we laughed at the first episode with like 6 people dying in a tourney. At least it was in a fucking tourney. When Kristen killed Joffrey, it was in a tourney. Like, at least, like, we all laughed, like, that's ridiculous that 6 people were straight up murdered. But at least they had the fucking, like, oh, it's in a fucking tourney. He just fucking murdered somebody. He murdered a highborn person, the best friend of the king, and then they just let him fucking walk free. And then the queen, the goddamn queen, is able to walk up to a murderer? Like, what the fuck? Like, what the fuck? What the... how can I even pay attention to the rest of the episode after that? And then it's not even like, well, maybe next episode we're gonna find out. No, it's 10-year fucking time jump. Oh my god. That was really bad. It's gonna be really fucking hard to come back from that. We went from the best episode. You know how I was fucking praising last week's episode, and I was like, oh man, things are looking good. And then they fucking pull this. Like, that's some season 8 shit. That's some like season 8 fucking level planning on that fucking wedding scene. That is bad. That is really fucking bad. Thoughts about the lemon tree confirmed. Laurie's totally not sus. The lemon tree thing I did think about. I was like, this is native to Bravos, and yet it grows here. I definitely, nature is weird. Like, was that completely intentional, or are we all just like completely in lemon mindset on that? I feel like it had to be when he said Bravos, right? Somebody has to know about Lemongate. That had to be a fucking joke about Lemongate. No? Or am I paranoid? Or not paranoid, but like, am I like self-absorbed that I'm gonna think of like everything's about fucking Lemongate? Yeah? Yeah. Like, why not stick to the tourney death? They established that the wedding was gonna have a tourney. Like, why not be a tourney death? I mean, the whole thing about the book was that you get to have the ambiguity of like, did Kristen Cole like do this as a vengeance thing, or did he do it again to keep somebody silent, or because was it a real accident? Like that's the beauty of the tourney. Plus, you have the legal cover of, well, it was an attorney, so how can, like, I don't know why anyone would do that. And yes, also, why the fuck would he have any connection to that heart tree? Like, why, as a man who is a follower of the faith of the Seven, okay, who swears his vows in the faith of the Seven, like, why would you walk out to a heart tree? Like, why wouldn't you like go commit suicide in front of the sept or something? Like, why would that heart tree mean anything to you at all? Like, it's never established as important to him. Has he even had a scene in front of the heart tree? Like, even if I did like Rhaenyra and Alicent, I'd be like, well, it's a favorite spot of theirs, you know, like it's something meaningful in their life. But like, that heart tree means nothing to him. Like, why would he be committing suicide in front of that heart tree? It doesn't, it's meaningless to him. He's not a follower of the old gods. The old gods mean nothing. I just, you know, like imagine you have like some, you know, I don't know, like, let's say you've got a practicing Catholic and they're in Washington D.C. and they're going to commit suicide, and he decides to like go in front of a Jewish temple. Like, there's plenty of Jewish temples around. Fine. Why would he be committing suicide in front of a Jewish temple? Like, you know, it doesn't make like like, I understand it's a pretty tree and you want to put that tree in places. And the tree, but have like establish a reason for why he would ever want to be in front of that tree. Maybe like Rhaenyra, like put in a scene earlier, like he and Rhaenyra have a secret kiss in front of that tree or something. Like, fucking do something. Do you think Alicent and Cole will get together? I don't think so. I mean, I kind of like how... So I liked before they did the Jeffrey Laudmouth thing, when Alicent like discovers the infidelity. I thought that it would be a good excuse of her holding that over his head for him to betray like the woman he loved. Like, you better do what I want, or because I know your secret. Unfortunately, though, they portrayed it like everybody knows the secret. So, like, him following Alicent and her keeping the secret is useless to him. I think they're going to have it now that somehow, like, he saves her life, that, like, you know, 10 years later, like, they were ready to dismiss him from the Kingsguard, and Alicent, like, insisted that he stayed or something. But there's no way he would not be dismissed from the Kingsguard. There's no way he would not be sent to the wall for that shit. Or executed for that shit. Like, it was so over the top. I mean, I think they're portraying it as more like Alicent is his new savior, and so he's like, he went to kind of in like a Mother Mary sense, I think is what they're going with. Like, he sinned with his Jezebel, and now he's like found God, and he's gonna Alicent is his Mother Mary, and he's gonna like protect her in that kind of sense. I think they're trying to go for something like that. By the way, Damon's plan went absolutely flawless for him, and I'm crying laughing. Like, can you imagine? Like, he flies to the Vale on his fucking dragon. No one warns anybody. Like, you just fly it in. Okay. And then he gets off his dragon. His dragon's nowhere to be seen. Okay, just, like, he leaves the dragon somewhere, walks in some path. And then he's just like, okay, here's my plan. I'm gonna kill Rhea Royce. And then in the exact like a minute before he plans on killing her, the horse fucking kills her. Like, what kind of... I think more people, by the way, on this, Laurie's faking his clubfoot. I think more, as I say it now to more and more people, like, more and more people are coming around. The first time I pushed forward this theory to people, I got so much pushback. Like, what? Like, Laurius was faking his whole life, and no one at Harrenhal said anything. Like, any of the servants that never got out. That's ridiculous. But now people are seeing the show, and they're like, I don't know. I think he could completely be like, now it's just because now that I think it comes from the actor who's playing. By the way, the guy playing Varys is fucking great, and every scene with Laurys Laurys is great. Every scene with Laurys is fantastic. His delivery of all of his lines are fucking spot on. The Laurys scenes are like, oh my god! Like, I feel if we didn't have the first and last scenes, I'd be praising this episode because of Laurie Strong. Also, I thought Harwin de Strong did a lot better. I finally felt like this guy's a strong knight. He's doing his thing. How did Cole get away with killing Joff? Bad writing. It just that oh god, I can't. Thoughts on Jason Lannister when they expand the Lannisters' role because of familiarity with them in Game of Thrones? I think so. I think they gave him another scene And I think they're definitely going to do stuff with armies and army movements once we get into the Dance of the Dragons. You don't throw them in this much now. Like there was no reason to have that like second um, scene with him coming up to the dais and like talking. It added nothing other than to further establish that everybody thinks that Jason Lannister's a dick, even though he's not really that much of a dick. If you haven't actually analyzed his words, he's not that much of a dick. The actor has to like do the heavy lifting on making him a dick by like having him the way he says the words. Like the lines written for Jason Lannister aren't even that bad, right? Like the actor, like Sir Hugh, has to fucking like do all of the work, and Sir Hugh does a good job. So consider, he plays Thailand completely different, and he plays Jason different, and with what he's given, he's doing a great job. So I like Sir Hugh's work. Man, guy went all mountain on that guy. I think they were they? Do you think they were going for a parallel there? That was just like gross. That was gross and uncalled for. I think even the rat at the end was a little heavy-handed. I understand that it's supposed to represent Laurie Strong and everything, but it reminded me of the end of The Departed. And when it happened at the end of The Departed, I thought it was very heavy-handed to have a rat come in at the very end and be like, fade to black. It's one thing to have a rat, but to have it in the last scene, center frame, like impact, I think it's just a little heavy-handed. I didn't like that. I didn't like the rat at the end. I think if you wanted to put a rat in earlier, have it in earlier, but not in the final fucking scene. Like, hey, everybody, a rat. In case you didn't see, there's a rat in this scene. There's a rat. Rat, fade to black. Drinking blood, fade to black. Haven't watched the episode yet. Just back from a wedding. Wanted to say congrats on the new little one. Keep on being awesome. Thank you. The little one is doing well. He's 2 weeks old today, and every day he gets better looking, which is the thing about newborns. But just got back from a wedding. I hope that your wedding went better than Laenor's, Laenor and Rhaenyra's. But man, if you can just watch, like, cut out the first 10 minutes of the episode and the last 10 minutes of the episode, and I think you got a solid episode. Kristen Cole should have been sent to the wall for violating guest right and murdering an innocent man at a wedding. That's true. I mean, the guy, what was he doing? Who is he protecting? Like, so many things went wrong in that episode. Like, there's so many things that were, I'm saying, like, plot-wise and theme-wise and everything, it was bad. But then it just logistically, his job is protecting Rhaenyra. And who fucking did his job? The Hand's son, who is a member of the City Watch. Okay? None of the fucking Kingsguard protected Rhaenyra. Okay? What was their... This is the thing, is like, what's your fucking job? What's your job? Your job is to protect the king and to protect the king's family. Okay? And what did you do? You dropped the ball. You didn't protect any of them. Rhaenyra had to be protected by Harwin Strong, and then the queen went out an hour later to that murderer. Like, what is the rest of the Kingsguard doing? Like, I mean, I guess they're as incompetent as the fucking Kingsguard in Game of Thrones, but considering how many fucking people die with the Kingsguard on watch. But man, have you read Hyperion? I have not. Toxic masculinity from Kristen. Yeah, it's true. A lot of jealousy. Oh my gosh. Okay. I'm way behind. Everybody, like, cannot fire Cole. At least he shows up to work. Oh my god. This was like an SNL skit on Game of Thrones. You're right. Like, we can't just fucking kill people. Like, there are no rules now. Like, at this point, there are no rules. The wokeness is starting to wear on me. Yeah, the wokeness was the problem with this fucking episode. Really? The fucking wokeness was the problem with this episode? Like, what? That was the problem. That was the problem, is they made Archmaester, that made Maester Orwell black. That was the problem with this fucking episode, guys. It was that Maester Orwell was black. Had they not made Maester Orwell black, Kristen Cole randomly fucking murdering somebody would have been fucking fine. It was the fucking wokeness, guys. It was the fucking wokeness. Jesus fucking Christ. That's your fucking complaint from the episode? God damn it. Oh, man. Oh. Where's Carmine today, man? I know he's always working on these fucking videos right now. Oh, the wedding ruined it for me. No consequences for what Kristen did. And nobody attends the wedding ceremony. So bad, in my opinion. That's true. So not only did Kristen fucking murder somebody, and then fucking is just let free, and then they let the queen walk out to the fucking murderer, but he ruined the wedding. Like, you ruined the princess's wedding. Like, that's bad. That's really bad. Like, just on that alone, like, you'd think you'd be kicked out of the Kingsguard. Other than the fact that you fucking murdered the prince's, like, best friend and a highborn person for no fucking reason. Jesus. And didn't protect the queen or the princess or the king. Your fucking job. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh. What's the deal with the Strongs? Your idea was that they were pro-green and Lionel seemed pro-Valarian, and Laurie seems to play both sides, maybe cheese. So what I go for based on what my reading of Fire and Blood, I think that the Strongs as a family are pro-conspiracy. I think that, like, the reason that they helped the Maesters with the Council 101, but I think that once you get into Lionel and Harwin's actions, I think they don't do very much. While Laurice himself seems to be incredibly, incredibly pro-conspiracy. I think he works both sides, and that he's driving both sides against each other because he is 100% pro-conspiracy and wants the death of dragons. Like, I think that it's the only way to explain kind of Laurice's actions, is that he wants everybody to die because he's fucking bonkers. And, like, so when people say, like, which side is he on? I think he's on neither side. I think he's pro-conspiracy, he's pro-war. He wants everybody to kill each other off. I think that's what he's doing. And that, maybe you could argue that Lionel was pro-green, or here in the show, Lionel just seems to be good advisor. Like, that's all he seems to be so far. He seems to be pro-peace. And Harwin, we haven't been given enough like time to know what Harwin is. But the thing is Lionel and Harwin in the books don't do very much. Like, other than the fact that like Harwin is implicated in outing Heir for a Day, like Daemon's Heir for a Day, and then he's implicated in sleeping with Rhaenyra. That's all he does, you know. And he gets his collarbone broken by Kristen Cole, but like he doesn't do any other actions. And Lionel does, despite being hand for freaking a long time. Lionel does nothing. He does nothing of note, except host the Council of 101. It's all Laris. So it's you could make arguments that like Harwin and Lionel are whatever, because they're given very few actions to do, despite Lionel being fucking hand. It's just at that point of Fire and Blood, they skip over like a good decade of events, you know, and then until Lionel's murder, he just, yeah. So, man. You think Sir Crispin knew why he was called the Knight of Kisses? I guess because he takes it in the kisser. But I mean, their sigil have lips on them. So I mean, I think that's why he'd be the Knight of Kisses. But I mean, maybe he's making the, you know, I think he's trying to make the joke that he's the Knight of Kisses because he kisses Laenor or something. The face of the tree was crying, just like me, just like me. Joffrey was gonna stab Rhaenyra. Yet, like, somehow, like, is that like the, like, that's what he's gonna tell people? Because he had a dagger on him? You know? Why is he beating him to death? I don't know. I mean, that would work, you know, but he, you know, he has to yell something or be like, or, you know, while they're pulling him off, they're like, he was trying to kill the princess, but they never establish any of that. He just beats a guy to death. That's it. And everybody's sad. Cole unironically did nothing wrong. Did Alicent poison Viserys during the commotion? I actually think that they're going a little. I mean, I understand why they did it, but they're going really heavy on the Viserys dying thing, considering that he's going to be dying for freaking another 10 years. Like, you know, he's how slow can this like descent? You know, he's dying so slowly that he's going to die of natural causes of old age. You know, I mean, let's keep in mind that like the actor is like, how old's the actor? Actor Viserys, House of the Dragon. Paddy Constantine, his age. He's 49. So, filming this, he's 48. So, like, we see him at the Council of 101, and he's 49, and the events take place over the course of 30 years. So, you know, by the time he's dying, he's actually like 79, you know, and like that's like 15 years longer than most people in Westeros die. Like his like Jaehaerys, his grandfather died of old age and was called the Old King at like in his like late 60s, you know. Like keep in mind Barristan is an old man in his 60s, and Old Bear is like 62, you know, like these are all old people. So like even if you're establishing Viserys as 30 at the Council of 101, he's 60. Like, you know, which in Westeros is not actually like young to die at, right? So like you don't need to poison him. Like you can just have him die of natural causes, old age. Like as but they show him like doing really, really bad like 15 years before he's actually supposed to die. It's kind of weird, kind of weird. I mean, I know they're doing it because they want to establish things, and then so when the time jump, something is further along. But he's looking like shit in episode 3. He was looking like shit. Like I don't know, like ah. I liked Kristen Rhaenyra, Laurie's Allison Kristen scenes. What the fuck was up with that wedding scene? Made no sense. Also, no blood cleanup. Yeah, you're right. Like, don't they have fucking servants? This is the other thing. Like, there's all these scenes of like Allison with her baby, like feeling really sad that she has to like take care of this thing. You're the fucking queen. Like, you can, you've got servants that could do it. Like, if you're really upset and you're really like in a bad mood, like that's the thing about these royalty people. They don't raise their kids, you know? That's shit. Like, so I used to live in Shanghai, and my best friend there was this very, very posh, rich British guy. We both went to teach English, you know, have adventure as young men. And this guy, you know, he went to Eton in Oxford. Like Eton is the boarding school that they send all the royal kids to. And in fact, when I talk to other British people, they're like, oh yeah, you know, like Dom, like he went to Oxford, but that doesn't mean anything. Like going to Eton, that fucking means something. I was like, okay, like, you know, in America, we don't really understand. Like, there's no famous high schools in America where you go to a high school that's so famous that the entire country like knows something about you because you went to this high school. Like, we don't have that in America. We have colleges like that. Like when you say like people that went to Harvard talk about dropping the H bomb. Like, oh, because when I drop the H bomb, like people no longer see me as me anymore. I'm the person that went to Harvard. Like, ooh, you went to Harvard. So Eton is like that, but it's a high school. Anyway, the point is, very, very wealthy, very, very posh family. He was raised by a nan. And I remember his parents and nan came to visit him, and we went out. And I remember like we were at this big table, and his parents sat at one end, and were these like very like prim and proper, like shake hands with their son kind of family, you know. And he sat near me with his nan, and he's just like having this great time, like talking to his nan. And I said to him, I was like, Dom, you know, be honest with me. Like, so let me ask you a hypothetical. Your mom and your nan are falling off a cliff. Like, who do you save? And he's like, I've never thought about that. I suppose I'd save my nan. I was like, you know, he's like, you have to understand, my nan raised me. Like, I have a very special relationship with my nan. My mother is my mother, but like my nan, she's the woman that raised me. Like, okay, you know, so that's how it is with these like super wealthy, you know. So like, why aren't these servants like dealing with it? But whatever. So yeah, why there's not blood cleanup? Why they're not taking care of the baby? I don't know. Because well, they have the twin Kingsguard, or no? Man, they should, right? Eric and Eric are fucking great. They're great characters, but maybe they think we already have two twins. Is that two twin pairs too many? I don't know. But Eric and Eric are like, why wouldn't they put them in? It's some of the best things. I have no problem with the Valyrian casting, but it's kind of disappointing. He'll remove some of the ambiguity on who the father of Rhaenyra's children are. I don't think it removes any ambiguity. I mean, we haven't seen the scenes yet, but like, what removes ambiguity is the fact that they chose to make Rhaenys' hair color silver, and then they chose to make Emma Aaron's hair color silver, both are which are not like Emma Aaron's hair color is not given in the book, and Rhaenys' hair color is black in the book. And then we also don't know Harwin Strong's hair color in the book. So like the fact that we have Harwin's hair color like changes things. So but actually the kids look more black haired, but also now there's not ambiguity. Like at least in the books, we aren't sure if Rhaenyra has sex with Kristen Cole during the wedding or near the wedding. I suppose this wedding happened so fast that, well, we aren't sure when the wedding timing is and everything. How quickly did they put together this thing? Like, when was the last time that Rhaenyra slept with Kristen? Was it the one time? Did they sleep together on the boat on the way over? I don't, like, could Kristen still be the father of Jace? Now, as for the black-white thing, like, Laenor is already practically white passing. Like, that's his kids could of course be like white passing. Like again, like Carmine is half black, white passing. Like people go white passing all the time when just being half black. Jesus, did I have to tell, like I keep having to bring this up every fucking time. Like okay, people that you didn't think are half. Okay, Zach from Saved by the Bell is half Indonesian. Like not part, like, and she's like full-blooded dark Indonesian woman. Okay, Zach from Saved by the Bell, Mark Paul Gosselaar, half Indonesian. Okay, and what would anybody ever guess like that he was half? Like I want to say the woman from The Office. One, like Jennifer Beal, Flashdance, she's half black. The woman from the Rashida Jones, she's half black. Like there's so many people that are half black that I think Vin Diesel, where they're just white passing. And so now we're talking about like quarter black kids. Like there's like no ambiguity is taken away from Laenor being black or half black or Corlys being black. The ambiguity is all hair color changes that people have like made in the cast that were not in the book, if anything. But like again, we don't know like Emma Aaron's father's hair color, like all these other things. Like it has nothing to do with like the blackness. Okay. Oh, Kristen not wearing his helm, special treatment. Yeah, that's also weird. I guess you just want these people's faces shown. No one wearing hoods at the wall, like no one wearing helmets in battle. Maybe Joffrey sees Daemon put hands on Rhaenyra, and then Cole sees Joffrey attack Daemon. Didn't show it, and then like they purposely had everything obscured. And then, and in that confusion, like people are going to, they aren't like, even if they're sort of logical explanation, like afterwards, Kristen like explains the whole thing. Like that's not what happened. They pulled Kristen off and he walked off on his own. Like they would have, taken him and like put him aside and like restrained him and been like, what the hell was going on? And like some sort of explanation would have been given. And he would have been like in a cell that evening until people could like corroborate his story. He wouldn't be like left to roam and then go out to the Godswood to try to kill himself. Like it's just so silly. At no point like can I come up with any explanation on like how this would work. At this point, Rhaenyra saying Daemon couldn't just killed everyone and taken her. He could have probably done it. At that point, he probably could have. And actually, in this world, apparently Daemon could just like slaughter people and take her, and everything would have been fine. So, yeah. So woke, kill the gay guy. Kristen Cole is a homophobe. They actually have something called there's actually a Hollywood trope that people told me about called bury your gays, that actually like gay characters get killed a lot. Like even in stuff that's supposedly very progressive, people find themselves just constantly killing the gay characters. And they're either killed, like either you've got the gay characters that are like coded evil at the same time or coded weak. So you've got like the Braveheart situation where the gay character is thrown out a window because he's perceived as weak. And he's killed for, for no reason, because that guy wasn't killed in history. He went on to be king. And but the or like the boyfriend, is the boyfriend thrown out the window or something, like there's all that, like there's a lot of like coded gay characters, like in Commando or something, the villain, or in 300 and stuff like that. But then there's ones where they try to go the other way, and then all of a sudden they're made the martyrs. Like, oh, they're the martyrs. So it's like our poor gay character was murdered because the world didn't understand them. And so you have them on this like extreme, like, oh, they're so holy that they need to be our Christ character and they need to die, or they're evil and they need to be killed. So, but the gay characters never seem to fucking live. So it becomes this like, yeah, the bury your gays stereotype. Do you think that the conversation between Laris and Allison confirmed that Viserys didn't send Rhaenyra the moon tea in the last episode? I would say, I mean, I wouldn't say it's 100%, but I mean, he might just be a really good spy. But I think it definitely seems to imply that he was responsible for getting that moon tea sent somehow. So now Mello specifically said it was from the king. So it may be that, Laris is just totally in on the conspiracy, which I think, I think he is. But yeah, it seems to be Laris's idea. Of course, he also is in the walls looking, so it is possible that, he just watched something. Of course, Allison's, now that you bring it up, Allison's jump in logic is I have to rewatch the scene because I thought he said it was from the king, which only means that Viserys didn't believe Rhaenyra, not that she actually took the tea. So really, like, she shouldn't suspect Rhaenyra anymore. She should only know that Viserys didn't believe her when she vouched for her. It might be a little flub. I mean, it's minor. I can still see Alicent like making that illogical jump, but it's not quite logical if she knows that the king sent it, because Rhaenyra didn't ask for it. But it does seem to imply that Viserys was in on that. You want me to be your whore, made me screech. Yeah, that was I think they were really trying to come up with something. I mean, it is true that like in the source material there is the supposed Kristen wanting to run off kind of proposition, and how to turn it around to I'm all of a sudden the whore. When, I mean, it's funny because, I mean, the only way to kind of make it all sense is to kind of actually go with the toxic masculinity Kristen Cole, because there's definitely a double standard. Like, he went and had fun in his youth, he said, and had sex. He was no virgin. And now he's in the white cloak, and it's like, oh, you want me to just be like some side thing. His level of jealousy went so beyond, like, he didn't understand the political marriages. He needed to own Rhaenyra in a full sense. That somehow if they were married, like, it would make up for the fact that he broke his oath. Like, all of a sudden marriage means something to him when he was having premarital sex before. And not that people aren't contradictory like this all the time, and stuff, especially men. So I think the only way to kind of make it work is to make like Kristen Cole into the sexist that Ariana Martel like believes he was. Um, that that I cannot be in this like passive position to a princess. I'm not just gonna be like your paramour, your whore. Like I need you to be equal to me. Us running off together, married or something. Viserys clapping at the wedding was like, ow, ow, ow. His arm was looking pretty rough. I have to check that out again. I didn't notice that. They just kind of made a big deal out of the fact that he can't cut food all of a sudden. Um, solid 5 out of 10. I'm gonna give this one a less than. I can't deal with that ending. I'm gonna. This is pretty bad. I also noticed the tapestries because now that she like made the comment like, "Hey Damon, let's go look at some tapestries." Now I'm looking at every tapestry where I'm like, she was really asking him to look at porn. Like, uh, um, there was a lemon tree on the mural surrounding King's Landing werewood while Laurie spoke of the non-native species. I'll have to if there was a lemon tree as well in a mural, um, then I would then I'm gonna say it's 100% that they were making a comment on Lemongate, and that nature is weird, and that they're like it was a lampshade of some sort. But yeah, I mean, like the Laurie scenes were the strongest scenes in the episode. There was some great stuff. There was some great stuff. I liked the dancing. The dancing was pretty cool. Um, uh, I like the conversations between Corlys and Rhaenys. They have fucking such great chemistry. Both are such great actors. I liked Joffrey Lonmouth. I thought he was fantastic. I think Laenor is a great actor when he's not speaking. Like, when he's not speaking and he's got these like smirks and looks, I think he's great, but like his delivery of lines, I don't know what it is. I'm not a biggest fan of Laenor. I thought Joffrey Lonmouth was great. It was fantastic. Um um but you know, I liked all the high tide stuff. His like paranoia about being slighted and stuff like Viserys's paranoia about being slighted. Um, and then the wedding, and I just didn't understand one like how everyone can like the world can stop for Alicent walking into a room with a green dress, and people are more shocked than when Daemon fucking Targaryen shows up. Like Daemon fucking Targaryen shows up, and everyone's like, "Oh, okay." Like, "Oh, I'm sorry." Like that's Daemon fucking Targaryen. Like what? Like and then it's like, whoa, Allison just interrupted a speech wearing a green dress. Stop the world. Like that didn't make sense to me either. I don't know. I don't know. And for people to be like, oh, well, when the Hightower like go to war, they do their green flame. I was like, wasn't the rest of the family also wearing green in that scene? I don't. And then ruining the blacks and the greens, like the whites and the greens, like she's wearing a white dress. I don't know. I don't know. Ugh. Ugh. Maybe on my second watch, I won't. This will somehow make sense to me, but I don't know. How do I like the adaptations from book to show? I have no sympathy for the Greens, Alicent Cole, and Fire and Blood, while the show is making them way more complex. Um, that's an interesting statement. Yes, I think that um, because Fire and Blood is so biased and so obviously biased against the blacks, I find myself like rooting for the blacks completely, where I'm just like, well, come on, we've got no evidence of this. That didn't happen. And so I read through Fire and Blood. I'm like, the blacks I'm team black. Like this is ridiculous. Like stop lying to me. Um, because the source material tries to be so pro green. But here, yeah, they've given a lot more humanity to certainly Otto Hightower, certainly Alicent, Though Allison kind of goes off the deep end in this episode, where you kind of like felt for her. Um, and I guess, she's bottled up all of her like her sorrow into now anger and jealousy to Rhaenyra. Like, I had to go through this shit, therefore Rhaenyra should have to go through this shit, and she's refusing to go through this shit. Um, and so it's she's becoming less sympathetic, I guess, but she's really really upset about uh, yeah, Rhaenyra having sex with Kristen Cole. When obviously in the source material, like she accuses Rhaenyra of doing this for years. Um, so I mean, I think that I think that the show is a million times better than the source material. The source material is just nothing, um, and I think they're doing a great job adding depth to characters that had no depth in Fire and Blood. But uh, but yeah, I do feel more sympathy towards the Greens now. So I never thought I'd have sympathy to Otto Hightower, but you definitely see it on his face. His logic never works. Oh, we've got to go to war against Rhaenyra, or else she's gonna bring war. You're like, like it doesn't. It's kind of like the later seasons of Game of Thrones. Like, we need to retake Winterfell to unite the North to go to war against the others, or you could just go to war against the others, like, and not have all your people die. Like, we need to prepare for war to stop a war. I don't. Um, it looks like grayscale, but not contagious. I guess on Viserys. I guess Damon didn't get any grayscale. I didn't see anything on him. Covered in grayscale blood. Comet is a Vulcan. By the way, does people know my Comet is a Vulcan joke? Vulcan is a for those that don't know, like the Vulcan is um, a spacefaring alien from a book called Night Flyers that our author wrote, and so as a kind of out there like theory, I was saying, well, it enhances people's telepathic abilities when it comes near. So when it flies by a planet, people's telepathic abilities are enhanced. So like the Vulcan actually flew by Earth around around the time of Jesus Christ, with the implication that Jesus's miracles were actually like telepathic, like telekinetic things. Him walking on water was telekinesis because of the Vulcan, right? So the idea being that, in the same sense, the comet, because a lot of people link the comet to the hatching of dragons and things like this and the return of magic. Well, it's not really a return of magic. It's the fact that people's telepathic abilities are being enhanced. Therefore, Comet is a Vulcan. Whether Comet is literally a Vulcan or thematically a Vulcan, but yes, yes, there. Oh yeah, the leeches. The leeches were there. Telepathic leeches. What did you make of the scene between Rhaenys and Corlys? Do you think their motivations make sense? Um, yeah, for a moment, Rhaenys was like, I came to terms with this, and we're gonna put our family in danger if we actually like try to go on the throne. That didn't really make sense, considering that she already tried to be queen through the Council of 101, and then already tried to have Lena married to Viserys. So I guess here the argument is because Aegon already exists, that people are going to be trying to take them out to put Aegon on the throne. That situation's already there, and it puts the children in danger. Um, I guess I mean, I could see it going either way. I could see her saying that. I mean, you can also let characters like grow and change. It is a little different, right? Because now Aegon exists, while before Aegon did not exist. Um, and she did establish like the children of Rhaenys was the one that first said like the children of the next queen are going to be put on the throne above in front of Rhaenyra. No, I think Rhaenys has actually been consistent. Rhaenys is being remarkably consistent. Um, so I do think that their motivations make sense. That we're gonna try this out. This works, but uh, um, yeah, no, I think it works. The on that scene, it was interesting that they brought up the name change thing, which is silent. I of course in Ice and Fire, like they do on occasion talk like break up the name change things. This comes up with like Lady Hornwood and the succession in the North, and whether or not somebody would just take on the name Hornwood so that the house can survive. And it helps explain like how these houses are around for 5,000, 6,000 years. Like you by chance you're gonna have like somebody that doesn't have sons, right? Like, and then they're gonna get married, and then the house is gonna be taken over. Like, it would be impossible to have a house go on for thousands of years without the ability for somebody to change their surname. So, yeah, it makes sense. It was brought up, and I'm surprised they even like dealt with it. The impromptu coordinated dance scene, like in not another teen movie. Except in this sense, I think it's more like impromptu coordinated dance scene, and it's like the chicken dance at a wedding or the Macarena. Like everybody does these dances all the time. You're trained in these dances, so of course they're gonna be coordinated. So it's not exactly like you know not another teen movie. Like these highborn people are supposed to be trained in dance or whatever, right? I think. Um, don't invite Preston to dinner. Drop into the how would you feel hypotheticals. You got to remember, I'm in real life. I'm kind of a dick. So, um, what happened to Vaemond, the elder brother? Was not him at the feast, sitting on the dais? I thought he was on the dais. Um, with everyone, like in between, like Lena was on the end, and he actually got a better place than Lena, um, which was surprising to me. Like, oh, you're giving the brother a better seat than the daughter. Um, but yeah, I think I saw her. I'm looking at the family tree here to make sure there's not some family member that's not that's missing here. Corliss. Oh, actually, Vaemond's the nephew. Well, in the book, Vaemond is the nephew. I'm not sure if they've changed Vaemond to be Corliss's brother rather than his nephew. But I don't know why the nephew would have a better seat than than Lena. But obviously they did it so that Lena could be sitting across from Damon. But I'm surprised there'd be like a seat for Damon. That was yeah. Um, Kristen loved boat, right? Like where was the boat sex? Boat sex. Why isn't Vaymond in charge? Why does he exist? Um, Vaymond exists so that they can have somebody like when the Dance of the Dragons comes out to be like leading battles places and then to die at a various time in a boss battle. Like that's why he exists. For no other reason. I mean, he's a character that other people can talk at, and he can lead. He can be part of an entourage, and then he can be killed um, later. Let's see. I guess later there is a succession dispute that between Vaymond and Adam of Hull, because I know that Corlys eventually wants to pass his. He makes Adam of Hull the Lord of the heir to Driftmark over Vaymond, claiming that Adam is the bastard of Laenor, and Adam gets legitimized, and so they might eventually try to bring in that plot that to try to create some sort of conflict between Vaymond and Adam of Hull. But yeah, in the short term, I don't know if they're going to do much with Vaymond other than have him be a guy that you're eventually going to have be leading armies and eventually die. Orwell's casting decision was actually brilliant, as he will later deliver the message to Rhaenyra at Dragonstone. All right, that's kind of funny, you know. later Orwell Orwell is sent to Dragonstone to negotiate between to try to bring the blacks and the greens together, and you know, in the source material, they're like, oh, Orwell came with like very generous terms, and the terms were horrible, and it's like one of the most biased, like, if you're actually like pointing to moments where the maesters are really implicated in things, it's probably the strongest argument on like, oh crap, like the maesters really fucked this up. Because keep in mind, maesters are trained in negotiation, and this is like one of their big things, right? So for him to like go and screw things up so royally, I made the joke that Cleos Frey is infinitely better at negotiation than Archmaester Orwell, because Cleos Frey like goes back and forth like a few times, like at least 2.5 times, like, and does his job. He's very good, essentially being like, don't get mad at me, I'm gonna try to, like, you know, hammer out an agreement. And keep in mind that the stakes were much worse between the Crown and Robb Stark, but you know, he went back, you know, negotiating stuff. And the fact that like Maester Orwell is trained in this shit, and like stuff breaks down immediately and they go to war. But yes, that's but it's one of those moments, if you go back to Fire and Blood, that yeah, if you're really looking for Maester conspiracy, I would say the Orwell's trip to Dragonstone is prime stuff to look for as evidence of it. Is it me, or is the Daemon storyline just careening listlessly? His main job seems to be showing up in scenes he's not expected in. Yeah, you're right. He's this time though, he was just kind of useless, right? He just kind of showed up and didn't do anything. Him showing up was of no consequence at the wedding at all. Like, it did nothing. The only thing he did is like show up in the Vale and spook a horse, like, and then finish off a woman with a rock, and then like, I guess his threat to the cousin was actually like giving stuff to the cousin. Was that the implication? Like, here, you can have the Vale if you let me off for murder. In the book, he actually does try to get the Vale, and then is denied. But you know, so no, Daemon's really useless. When I especially this episode. I mean, at least last episode he did a lot. But yeah, he's just drifting from place to place. He's supposed to be the wild card, but this episode he didn't do anything too wild except you know, kind of sort of telepathically kill his wife. I don't know. Like an A. I mean, jeez. I mean, the fact that we just wrote the Elaine sample chapter, and Sweet Robin freaking did the horse thing. Maybe, maybe not, to harry the air. And then freaking a few days later, Damon does the same thing to a horse in the Vale. Um, wasn't the wedding not supposed to be on the same night? V-Dog was talking about a wedding and a 7 days feast of celebration, and Damon ain't shite. Um, yeah, so it was supposed to be this long week thing, and I think because of Joffrey Lonmouth's death, they just canceled everything. They're like, hey, a person died. Heirs tourney, 6 people died, and we're not going to cancel shit. Like, I mean, until I suppose I murdered my wife, but the but but Joffrey Lonmouth, he dies. Cancel everything, and we're gonna have this like crappy ceremony. I know we paid everybody, we paid all the singers, but yeah, this is just gonna be doing the thing. Um, yeah, if they focused on making Cole as the critical analysis of his nightly vows, I could see it being interesting. The problem is that Kristen Cole talks. He like all of a sudden is a talker in this episode. He has more lines in this episode than everything else combined. Like, what we know about like everything we know about Kristen Cole, like his white cloak didn't mean anything to him. Like, um, so I don't know. It was odd. It was odd. I mean, the introduction of him being, say, a sexist, or the introduction of him, say, like caring about breaking his vows, or the introduction of him like valuing his white cloak as a point of honor, or any of these sorts of things, like, or be like that was it's fairly new. Like, I'm trying to think of Kristen Cole and Rhaenyra walking in the woods, and he's just like, well, you gave me this position, so I owe you a lot. Like, what is he like? So now he's valuing the position that he gave her over the loyalty to this woman that gave him everything. Um, is he really just a spurned suitor and he's making up excuses? And I don't think I don't think Kristen Cole's stuff is like motivations are horrible. I mean, they are trying to force stuff into the book material. They're doing their best they can with it. Kristen Cole, like, when people are spurned, they have illogical emotions. There might be a lot of things going on in his head, but I think they should have established something earlier about like how important the white cloak was to him and how important his vows were to him, or something. But yeah, um, rather than him out of the blue suddenly being like, "Oh, I broke my Kingsguard vows, and now I'm ready to commit suicide in front of a heart tree." Like, I don't know. I don't know. Mm. Apparently, the reason Viserys only rode Balerion once and never tried again was because he gets gnarly motion sickness. Yeah, yeah. Um, yeah. The the yeah. I mean, I guess we could definitely read into that. He does say he's not a warrior or things like this. I mean, they're clearly like trying to take the piss out of him, make him weak in that sense. They I think when they told the story of him riding Balerion, they maybe should have seeded the fact that like, oh well, I rode him once, but it was quite a scary ride, or I vomited, or something, or afterwards, or something. I mean, it makes sense. He only wrote him once in the books. Here he just said in the show he said for a short time. Um, but that's it. Yeah. Um, own. You mean like the desired monogamous relationship? Like 90% of people. Um, keep in mind that this has been like a week. Like, he slept with her one time. Like, he slept with her one time. Um, he admitted that he's been in non-monogamous relationships and had a wild youth. Um, like um, all of a sudden wanted like all of a sudden out of nowhere like valuing monogamy and wanting to marry her after a week. Yeah, I can't all of a sudden be like, oh no, he's a big D. He just wants monogamy. Um, in a sense of valuing monogamy as a concept. It's more like I had this thing like for a week and now it's mine, and it's like a jealousy thing. Like they don't have much of a relationship yet. It's been a week, right? Like she can't be anything more than an object to her, object to him, right? Like, um, I mean, that's why I use the word own, because there's no there's no like sitting down and having a family in in a monogamous household or something. Like not really getting it. Um um Cole admitted to adultery in a room full of sex posters with little questioning. um did Kristen forget they'd never be incognito with her dragon, or was he proposing leaving the dragon behind? Because that wouldn't work well for her. That's I was thinking about the same exact thing actually when he uh when he was going on and on about like going off, running off. Which I mean, again, it's source material, but it's like she's not going to leave behind her dragon. Like at least be like, let's fly off on our dragons together and rule a different kingdom or something. You know, I think there's better, there's better, uh, there's better lines, there's better ideas than let's go off and be orange traders or something. But they are limited by the source material. They were trying to cram in the source material. But yeah, it's really stupid of him because again, they just forget about the dragons. They Everybody fucking forgets about the dragons. Though I was happy to see fucking Mealy's today. Like Mealy's, um, right? Though I guess Lena is not on um Vagar yet, right? So because I just saw two somewhat similar sized dragons, so, which I'm assuming are Sea Smoke and Mealy's heading to the wedding. Um, let's see. How's it possible not a single person, including the other Kingsguard, got onto the dance floor to try to stop Kristen? Everyone just stood there watching and got beat a guy to death. I know. It's just it's going to be really hard to it's going to be really hard not to rank this episode really bad over that ending. And the fact that this is just kind of like everybody's immediate reaction on how how this was just a stupid way to end it. Like that was just really fucking dumb. Like this was kind of everybody's immediate reaction. Like it's gonna take. I'm sure out of the woodwork, we're gonna have some people that are gonna find some justifications and like pull things out. But you have to construct that. You know, you have to like, well, maybe this happened. You know, kind of stuff. The immediate reaction, and I think if we showed this to a casual, they'd be like when something's so bad that a casual is going to be puzzled and be like, well, that doesn't make sense. You know, versus like people that they're you know nitpickers. Like this is a pretty fucking glaringly bad thing. Like like you just can't just murder somebody in the middle of a fucking wedding, a really important person, and then just be walking around. Like I don't just don't get it. Like it was really bad. It was really bad. Um, breaking your oath once for love makes sense to him, but breaking it constantly for lust is breaking a line for him. She wasn't saying it was not for love, you know? She was just I'll have to look back at the scene. But But I don't. Maybe that's how he's seeing it. But he does just say, "Oh, my whore." It's more that he's insulted that he's he's just disposable or something, or that I don't think he can really at the end of the day accept being at a lower position uh, to her. Um, that his jealousy would just go too far. I mean, I think it's definitely we're definitely supposed to see some sort of like jealousy. I think we're supposed to look at some sort of sexist double standard or something going on. Um, Rhaenys is definitely underutilized. I do definitely agree. She's one of the best actors in the show, and every scene she's in, she's fantastic, and I find it incredibly compelling. And I wish there were more Rhaenys. Um, it's too bad. It's too bad. I really do our own Rainy spinoff. Own Rainy spinoff. Her sitting around doing nothing for a jet for 30 years and then going to war. hmm. Maybe it was. So this is the thing about like why Damon entering was nothing and Allison throwing shade is new. Um. Yeah. People are aware of Damon's BS. Allison throwing shade is new. I suppose. I'm surprised no one told Viserys. Um, I'm surprised no one told him, or like there weren't guards at the door to be like, oh, maybe we should like not have you interrupt his speech or whatever. Or somebody could run up really fit quickly and be like, the queen is on her way. The queen is on her way. Don't start a speech right now. Like people are really bad at this stuff, but I could see that. I could see the argument saying that okay, Allison throwing shade is really weird and new to the situation. They've done a lot of telling us Damon is bad, not really showing. Well, yeah, guess that's consistent with the source material too. Such a badass. I mean, his whole badass stuff is like, he had sex with some whores. They couldn't get it up. Oh, by the way, they really made it that they never even consummated their marriage, which is quite something. Um, Meaning when Damon asked to have it set aside, and I'm not sure he never asked to have it set aside in the show, but if you're like merging material, he should have been able to have that happen. If an unconsummated marriage, you can have set aside, but maybe that's why he never consummated it, or he just couldn't get it up, or he just didn't really like her, or whatever. Um, Kristen should have provoked Joffrey when blackmailed. That's that's what I was expecting. I was certainly expecting that when Joffrey came up and said, that there would have been a blackmail situation. Like, I know what you did. Um, but that's not what it was. It was like, hey, let's go protect them together, and everything will be great. Yeah, it's also odd because you'd think at that moment it would. And keep in mind, like going from the in the mind of Kristen being a jealous prick, right? Kristen's being a jealous prick. He's jealous of Laenor in this moment. So, wouldn't it be somewhat of a relief to discover that Laenor is gay at that moment? Oh, so she's not going to love somebody else. She's going to have like a few like just a handful of dutiful um child producing sex, like, and the rest of the time, like, she's in love with me. Like, I'm not saying that that's a perfect situation for Kristen, but like he's going from like level of jealousy here to it should have dropped, right? There should have been there should have been a relief or something more to think about. Like, oh, um unless he's also a homophobe, which people put in that, like, oh gosh, this entire situation is sick. These are these horrible gays, and they want me to be a whore in their open relationship kind of situation, and I'm not going to be part of that. I think it only works in that sort of like, I think it does only work in the the only reason for him to get suddenly angry at the situation is for him to be a homophobe and to think that gay people are like um morally off, which in the Game of Thrones universe is a little weird because they haven't had too much. Well, I suppose the High Septon like the High Sparrow had his anti gay thing near the end, but he was seen as an extremist. Like we never really saw the average person being really homophobic in Game of Thrones until the High Sparrow came around, right? Um, so all of a sudden, like from nowhere, like for Kristen Cole to be a homophobe with no like clue or no mention of it earlier, you know. In fact, like I had a wild youth. I mean, I understand that like lots of these sexists and stuff can be hypocritical like this, but I think the only way to really make Kristen work as a character at this point is to make him a big, jealous, sexist homophobe. I think that's the only thing that makes his fury at that moment work. Um, that oh gosh, I'm getting put into this like I'm getting put into this situation by these people, by these people. I think it's the only thing that kind of works at this point. Um, okay, I'm way behind. I gotta catch up. I'm sorry. Um, how did Kristen not break his damn hand? Was he still wearing like? I'll have to check that again. Was he wearing his gauntlet? Like, yeah, if you're crushing in somebody's skull, you're breaking your hand. You break your hand in general if you like. People break their hands all the time in fistfights. Like, it's not. You just don't. You can't. Your fingers just don't do that. Like, I understand it's TV, but it's one thing. Like, you should. They say if you're actually in a fight, to use your elbow a lot, use your knees and elbows because you're actually gonna freaking hurt yourself if you start like using fists. This is why boxers wrap their hands, you know, in tape and stuff like this, you know, and they still break their hands a lot, you know. So, um, oh, Alan of Hull. I was wrong on the Alan and Adam of Hull thing. Adam Valarian, Alan Valarian, one of the two. Um, Damon is the generic Jamie Lannister of House of the Dragon. I guess he's really generic. Yeah, he can't actually kill anybody. You know, or like at least Jamie threw a boy out a window and killed his cousin. You know, like oh man. Um I'm way back in Vayman Valarian like talk. Um they kept saying Rhea had no heirs. What about the other Royce guy? I think they meant like yeah, they meant just I mean everybody has an heir. It's funny when people are like there's no heirs. Well, everybody's an heir. Like but I think they meant like no children and thus no heir or no brothers. They must have meant something like that. You know, like of course it's eventually going to I mean in in Ice and Fire we have Harry the heir and Harry is like freaking like third, fourth cut like he's way off there, you know? And so it's I think I have to relook at the but he's you know he's it's everybody has an heir but I think they meant that she had no children or no brothers or something she stood to inherit but it's a little silly. Damon never consummated his marriage because he doesn't love her and he's such a good guy. Yes. Yes. As much as the fight didn't make sense, I do appreciate seeing Sir Harwin look like he could break bones. Love the videos. OG from the book club. Yeah, I think Harwin. I think they the things to praise in this episode is that the Strongs were introduced as really good characters. Laris comes in great. I felt like I can finally feel like Harwin was somebody rather than just some sneering dude in the background, you know? Um, uh, the that's my praise was the introduction of those characters. And I thought that, for the brief time that he was given, like Joffrey Lonmouth was a fantastic character. It's too bad he was out of it. Huh. Da, 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 da. Okay, well, finding people I have to ban later. um, let's see here. Here we go. Jason Lannister, closest that we've had to comic relief. You're kind of right. How is it that Jason Lannister is our fucking mushroom of the show? Right? Like, he is the closest that we have to comic relief. I'm trying to think of anything. I mean, Damon himself has some zingers, but I'm trying to think of like some good like laughs in the strong in the episode. Trying to think of anything that was really funny besides like things that are unintentionally funny. We got some Damon zingers, and we have Jason Lannister, and that's it. Man, what's up with Rhaenyra not liking Jason Lannister? There's actually not much to it. And like I say, like Sir Hugh is doing his best to trying to make the Jason Lannister, as stuffy as possible. But when you actually examine like what he says, it's not that bad. It's sort of somebody named Yusuf is like, was I banned? No, I don't think so. I see you. I'm sad for the lack of dragons in this episode. Yeah, we just got that one scene. Was that mushroom on drums? I don't think so. I just think it was a little person, right? There's nothing else unless that guy's coming back. There's no reason to think it was mushroom other than the fact that he's a little person. I mean, it's sort of he wasn't a fool in any way. He was actually just a professional drummer. Like, he wasn't even doing anything funny. Like, he wasn't. So, in fact, disappointed that we didn't get the mushroom cameo. Yeah, and in fact, if it were mushroom, like, have him do something funny. Have him do something interesting. Say something. But yeah, we don't get any poor mushroom. No mushroom on the drums. It was just a little person, everybody. Just a little person. I mean, there were little people at Joffrey's wedding in a Game of Thrones. I mean, in a Storm of Swords, and in the show as well, in season 4. So those none of them were mushroom either. So. Hello. Oh man.
That's also, ironically enough, that's also the same face I make every time I talk to Dragon Demands. It's just every fucking time. This motherfucker.
Is he angry? Or is he...
I have no idea. Every time I talk to him about anything, there's always something going on. You didn't like the episode? How dare you? We finally got a couple of the things you've been asking for.
Oh, like the scheming and the Larry Strong and the Lemon Gates and... Oh my! There's so many things that would have been like thrown out to me, Let me go back to my. There we go. But yeah, no. Come on, dude. How can we justify that ending?
By the way, I sense a fabulous disturbance in the Force incoming.
Oh, like all of a
A
sudden you
very
think,
fabulous. No, I sense a very fabulous disturbance in the Force that's incoming in a couple of minutes. And coming on this live stream.
Nice. Good. I would like to have him have some company. I am looking forward
Are you drinking alcohol? What is that?
Straight vodka, dude. Straight vodka. What?
Is it?
No.
Is it?
It's water.
Is it straight vodka?
It's just water.
Oh.
By the way.
Drink water out of a jug like all the debate bros.
Yeah, I know. They always have their little thing here. See, you got your little calling in thing here.
You're very proud of that. Wow.
Hey, I spent 30 seconds making that. So
Google that out of a. Why did you just use my icon?
because that one was already in a PNG format. So why did the Queen save Kristen? I assume that she saved Kristen because she wanted him to be a tool of hers.
Yeah.
That would be my guess. But for him to just like leave the room and her be like, okay, he should have been exploding. Like, oh my god, I'm totally found out. I'm gonna get gelded. But yeah. So how would you rank it in the 5 episodes that you've seen so far? How would you rank this one?
I would say it's weaker than episode 4, but I still enjoyed it more than episode 2, and yeah, I think it's like on the same level as episode 1 for me, kinda.
Oh,
but I still enjoyed 3 and 4.
I mean, I put it last. The opening, which I did not like, and the ending, which I did not like, I had a solid middle.
You didn't like the opening? You are fucking insane. What?
Look,
what?
Okay, first of all, so for you, Carmine, because I know how you feel about Rhea Royce. Okay, marry, fuck, kill.
Oh, never mind. I'm sorry. I thought you meant the opening where they're on their way to Driftmark.
No. The opening, as in the Veil. I hated the Veil scene.
The Veil was rushed. Yeah.
It's just like useless. You wasted all this potential of an awesome conversation, of awesome relationship that you could have had, some interesting ambiguity on what happened to Rhea Royce, and instead there's like none. But marry, fuck, kill, Rhaenyra, Alicent, Rhea Royce. If it's Carmine, I think it's going to be marry Rhea Royce. Fuck Rhaenyra, kill Alicent. That would be my guess on you.
Yeah, we got to stop hanging out because you know me way too well. You know me way too well.
Oh man, yeah. I'd probably do the same combination. I don't know. These are these things. These Preston's liberal tears are swift. People, like we can't play Marry, Fuck, Kill. What's wrong with Marry, Fuck, Kill? I don't get it. Like, doesn't everyone have these desires to marry, fucking kill different people?
Yo, how the fuck did Yoisted come at me with like the best meme? How did he improve on the meme I just found so fucking quickly? You gotta see this. I don't know if you want to put this up, but this is
okay.
Is
Are you sending
hilarious.
This to me? Let me see this.
Yeah, this is fucking hilarious. Let me see if he wants to join us too.
Okay. I would love to have Yoistin too, because I want to ask him about.
Don't say it. Don't say it, Princess. Don't say the words.
You don't want me to say anything?
Don't. You're gonna destroy the like ratio of this fucking.
Oh, you're right.
You're gonna destroy the like ratio of this video.
Right.
I love I love that. I love that picture. It's so great.
Yeah, yeah. Um, I guess the rats in the background indicate that the Red Keep really needs to hire a rat catcher. Cough, cough, cheese. I think as I said in my review, like I think the implication was that the rat catcher is not doing a good job, or they're just foreshadowing the rat catcher. They're like, well, these rats are watching, and the rats are everywhere. The rat catcher is in the walls. The rat catcher is seeing all. This is why I'm pushing this Laris's cheese kind of thing. Um, so we'll see what happens. Laris's cheese. I'm just saying, it's like such if Laris's cheese, it's gonna be such fucking vindication. Like because I was like the loneliest person with this theory out here, and everyone's like, Preston, you're a moron, and I'm like the only person pushing Laris's cheese. And if Laris's cheese, like, man, I'll be riding high. I'll be like, fuck all of you motherfuckers. Or he's not going to be, and I'll just ignore it. Oh man. No one reads books. The rats don't mean anything. It's true. It's true. Themes are for high school book reports, 8th grade book reports.
Who said that? Was that Dave or Dan who said that?
I think it was Benioff.
Probably
It was
Dave.
Benioff.
Yeah, it sounds like a douche thing to say.
Yeah, yeah. Mm-mm, mm-mm.
Mr. Slay the Explainer is having trouble logging on, but hopefully I can get him in here.
Okay, okay. Laris will not be Laris will not be cheese, and lemon trees will grow in Winterfell. That's probably true. There may be no method to the madness. Oh, it's true. Apparently, mooncakes and lemon tea work just as well as lemon cakes and moon tea. Well, we'll see. We'll see about that. Mooncakes are this. They've changed in recent years, but mooncakes are this thing in China and Taiwan where there's a mooncake festival in the autumn, and mooncakes used to be the worst thing ever. They're horrible. They're like the fruitcakes of China, and so you're forced to give everyone mooncakes on this holiday, and they're just dreadful. But then, in the past 15 years, they've made all these designer mooncakes, and so all of a sudden, like, mooncakes can be delicious, and so now, like, it's fine. But so like the idea is that mooncakes and lemon tea was like is what we'd be eating and drinking here in Taiwan instead of lemon cakes and moon tea. But Rachel here just went through a major earthquake in the south. There were some big major earthquakes this past 24 hours in Taiwan.
Yeah, I hit you up about that, but you were all right, right? Yeah, you good.
But it was probably the biggest earthquake I ever felt, even in Taipei. It was 5.6, 5.8 in Taipei, and so I think it was centered around. They're usually centered around Taidong and Hualien, which is in the east and southeast of the island. So the
By the way, did you watch the episode 6 preview? I just did the video on it.
I did
And Larry
briefly.
Strong,
Yeah.
he's coming on as a creep very strongly in that trailer.
Well, I think he's supposed to be. Yeah, I think he's supposed to be. Preston's always right, except over Quentin. You never know. Rat in the final shot.
Preston's always right, except over.
Mm.
Preston's always right, except over Viserys in that episode 3, of course.
Oh man. It wasn't just Preston that had the Laris cheese connection. If you'd like to point me to somebody else, then I'd be happy. But I don't know who else. Seriously, everybody was like, Preston being his freaking tinfoil. Like, this was like, I was straight up taking heat for it. And everybody's like, that makes no sense. Laris would have to fake it his entire life, and people are servants at Harrenhal. And if you can point me to another person that had the Laris cheese connection, I would love it. I mean, being the same person, not like Cheese is hired by Laris. I'm talking like Laris and Cheese being the same person. But um Preston, Mary fuck kill Biden, Trump, or Putin? Like gross, dude. That's just gross. Just
What is with these
I know.
fucking
It's like you
questions?
can't
It's
just
so
give somebody
lame.
like three bad choices. You're like, Mary fuck kill, like a bear trap, a bowl of acid, or like
It's so dumb.
I know, I know. 200 IQ theory. Cheese is actually Aegon the Second. Nice. That would be that would be that would be really brilliant. It's like killing his own kids. Um, Cheese is a Vulcan. Um, well, I mean, Mary fuck kill Harwin, Kristen, or Damon. Well, in this situation, it's very clear that Harwin is the, at least in the show so far, Harwin is the least horrible person. So Harwin gets the marry, right? Because you got to hang out with them the most, right? So we have nothing bad to say about Harwin, so he gets the marry. Um, Kristen's the hottest, so he gets the fuck, and Damon gets the kill just by process of elimination, right? It's a pretty easy one. Um, what do you think of the Driftmark setting? The throne room felt more like an office. I did get the sense that the Driftmark throne room was small, but in truth, a lot of actual castle throne rooms are pretty small in real life. Though on the outside, it looked really big. The castle looked really big. Carmine, what did you think of that?
You know me, man. I love it. I love all that stuff. Even the entrance to Driftmark Hall was fucking awesome. Like everything about it. Like
Yeah,
there's so much detail there. It's
his
just
throne had that kind of curved side to it, as if it was like taken from the wall inside of the hull of a ship. You know,
yeah,
that
that's
was really
exactly what I
neat.
got from it.
That was a really great. That was really
Hmm.
cool. I like that a lot. Um, yeah, but I never imagined I would reread Fire and Blood. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I know. Here we are. Here we are. Um, Preston was hated in the Song of Ice and Fire community for years. It's only been more recently that people began to be more accepting of his theories. Well, yeah, I think certain it depends which theories. Like I think I never thought like Maester conspiracy people. Well, Maester conspiracy, I suppose. Like people never hated Maester conspiracy, but um, there were some people that are like, no, there's not this massive conspiracy. And then later, like I think now everybody's on board with Maester conspiracy. The so I think it all depends what, but yeah, there was a point in which like every crazy theory all of a sudden was like, well, Preston Jacobs thinks, and then it's just like a crazy theory. And it's like I never fucking said that. Like there's so many like fake like, well, Preston Jacobs believes kind of stuff out there that's also just insane. I don't think there's really um I don't actually think any of my theories are really too nuts. Like Carmine, what's my most nuts theory? Is it Quentin is alive,
uh
or is it
no, it's the post-apocalyptic thing.
post-apocalyptic? But that one has so much
Hmm.
fucking evidence. I mean, look at Storm's End. Like, how can you not like a
Look, man.
nuclear
Hey,
winter being the long night? I mean, it just makes so much sense.
look, man. And a lot of the hate for you is manufactured. We've gone over it ad nauseum at this point, but a
Yeah,
lot
I
of it was
mean,
manufactured
it's pretty
by
amazing.
jealous
Like,
retards.
I remember like I haven't seen like too much. Well, I mean, I haven't been like lurking on Reddit in a while. But like there was a period like I want to say it was like maybe 2 or 3 years ago. Somebody was on like Reddit, still like accusing. They were accusing me of like um they were accusing me of uh convincing my
Cannibalism?
fans to give rape threats to people. And I'm like, what the fuck, like, what the fuck do you, what? And I attack this person. I'm like, what are you saying? Like, what are you, like, this comes out of nowhere. And the guy's like, I have the right to say whatever I want, like online. I'm like, who the fuck are you? Like, out of fucking nowhere. Like, and I'm like, why would you do this? And
You know where that comes from, right? I won't say
I
it, but you know where
I
that comes
do
from,
know where
right?
it comes from.
Right.
But and then he like tries to explain himself. He's like, and I was like, even the incident you're talking about, which like those people themselves would never like frame that like that. And that was like 7 years ago, and you're still on fucking Reddit trying to like pin something on me that's not there. Like crazy stuff. But yeah. But I don't know. I haven't seen much in the past few years. it only took nearly a decade for me to escape the haters. Every time Melos dismisses an alternative treatment from his assistant, I am more and more certain that he's trying to let Viserys succumb. That was the second time, though it was a different maester. Because this time it was Orwell, and the other time it was just a rando, right? Guess the idea is Melos is just bad at his job, and that he's there for manipulation rather than actual like being a good healer. We'll have to see about that. But you're right that like it being two instances where like he has a junior maester's opinion like being used is something. What do you think, Carmine?
Yeah, that infection, something's happening to sorry, I was checking something.
Yeah.
Something's happening to Viserys where uh he like I saw the episode 6 preview. He in like a decade, he's aged in like he just aged way too much. Something
Yeah.
is definitely happening to him slowly but surely.
Right.
Yeah, and how does Otto know he's gonna die? Like in a few years or a couple of months. Like why is Otto making that prediction so clearly?
Yeah, it's
So,
it's
so,
a
so
weird
that's
it's a
fucking
weird slow poisoning of like, and we're gonna slow poison you to the point where you die of old age. Like it's because he's not dying like young. Um, so maybe it's just that he's being poisoned so he doesn't have good judgment, so that like the hand has better manipulation over him or something. We'll have to see about
I
that.
guess. Maybe that's one of the
Um,
reasons why Otto wanted to get Damon out of the way so badly.
yeah. So okay, so the do a quick run on the Laurie's Cheese Connect. Okay, so this mainly has to do with thematic parallels. Is the Laurie's Cheese Connect? So, um, Cheese, of course, is the rat catcher of the Red Keep, who knows all of the secret passages and tunnels around the Red Keep. And then later, he is used in an incident where he kidnaps Alicent and her daughter, Helena, and then makes Helena make a Sophie's choice between two of her children in a horrible, horrible situation. And it scars Helena so much that she commits suicide. And Alicent probably goes nuts too. It's the most brutal kind of scene that we're probably going to see eventually. I don't know if it's this season or next season or whatever, but this is like the revealing. This is like the red wedding of freaking scenes that's gonna eventually happen. So Cheese, that's all we essentially know about him, is that he was a rat catcher. He knows the tunnels, and he does this like horrible, horrible incident, and he's never caught. And he's teamed up with this guy named Blood. Blood is caught and killed. Now, when you have a character that knows all of the ins and outs and tunnels of the Red Keep, well, we have one other character like that, and that is Varys. Varys is the other character that knows all of the tunnels and ins and outs of the Red Keep, and so he's going around. And so also like, there's some little ones that you can say that we're kind of imagining, but like Varys' original servants were not little birds; they were called mice. and things like this. So he the idea is that you've got one character who's living this double life in the walls, knowing everything, being a spy, and playing both sides, and that's Varys. And so we have a kind of a parallel between Cheese and Varys, but then we have the parallel between Laris and Varys. Obviously, their names rhyme, but also Laris becomes the master of whispers. Varys is the master of whispers, and they seem to be giving good advice to the king, but in fact they're working against them because they have their own agenda. So it's more that both Cheese and Laris parallel Varys, but also you have to remember what makes a good master of whisperers. Like, how does he know all of this information? Shouldn't the master of whisperers also know all the tunnels and be spying on people? Well, then is Laris Cheese. Now, the big reason that one would think that Laris is not Cheese is that Laris is a clubfoot, and Cheese is healthy. We have nothing to make us think that he's not a full, healthy guy who can run away and escape. And so the idea is that, well, Laris is faking his clubfoot, just like Varys has been faking the character of Varys his whole life. And we know that Varys is faking the character of Varys his whole life because we see he drops the voice with Kevin Lannister at the end in the epilogue of A Dance with Dragons. And he's also been doing this incredibly difficult double life as Rugen the Jailer, doing a second job on top of Master of Whisperers, where he shows up in the cells of the black cells and as a jailer to get information from people in the black cells, which is how Varys gets in to talk to Ned. So that's really the connection, is that we have two characters that are both parallel to Varys, thus connecting Laris being Cheese. But the big barrier is can Laris really live an entire life pretending to be a clubfoot? Well, no, probably not realistically. But realistically, Varys could also probably not do what he's been doing, living a life as Rugen the Jailer and as Master of Whisperers and playing this long game for so many years. It's ridiculous. But that's George R. R. Martin's writing. I can save the episode for you. The writers needed a reason for no one to witness the wedding, a no betting ceremony, and no one would see the bloody sheets. The writers worked backwards from there. But here's the thing, is that many times in Ice and Fire, they just say, oh, we don't want any betting ceremony. The betting ceremony is kind of an optional thing. There are plenty of weddings that don't have the betting ceremony. For instance, Tyrion and Sansa's wedding did not have a betting ceremony. And that's kind of a big deal, So it could be kind of anything. I don't think Ned and Catelyn's didn't have a betting ceremony. So you just don't need to have it. It's just it's a tradition that's not always followed because a lot of people, even in the Westerosi society, think the betting ceremony is kind of gross. But also, they wouldn't have had the betting ceremony because, Rhaenyra knows she's not going to bleed, so they would have already organized to not have it. But I don't know if they were really thinking about that. I think they were just thinking why did the episode end up the way it was ended up? It's because we spent all our money on having that big tourney in the pilot. We didn't want another big tourney. But we needed Kristen Cole to kill Joffrey Lonmouth. Oh, how are we going to have Kristen Cole kill Joffrey Lonmouth? Well, I guess he can beat him to death in the middle of the wedding after Joffrey Lonmouth says something that's not even very arousing or instigating. Oh, okay. And that was it. like they needed Kristen to kill Joffrey Lonmouth. They didn't have the money or didn't want to do another um, tourney, and that's what we ended up with. I mean, that's the reason. Oh, so we can't get Trey on? Where is he? Carmine.
I have no idea. I should probably hit him up again. Let me see. I think he's still resetting his computer. He's having trouble, so.
How would you nerf dragons to make the Giscari Wars make sense? Maybe dragons require a ton of food that cause many famines. Yeah, I think something like that. It's really difficult to, because again, like the Giscari fought many wars against the Targaryens and over many, many generations, and it took very many years for the dragons to eventually like kill them off. Um, it does seem really weird. Um, it's that's the only thing you can do is that so you know that like drug sniffing and bomb sniffing dogs, we kind of all have this idea that you have this bomb sniffing dog, and that bomb sniffing dog can like protect your business or some government building from bombs like all day. Like no. Bomb sniffing dogs like can sniff stuff for like 15 minutes and then they get exhausted because it's really active to actually sit there and go. That's exhausting. That's fucking exhausting, and it's exhausting for a dog. So you do 15 minutes with a dog, and then he has to rest for like 2 hours. Like, it's ridiculous. So really, you need like a whole team of bomb sniffing dogs, like going in parallel, like in succession in battery to like work. I suppose with like dragons, yeah, you could have a situation where they just need a massive amount of food, and really they can breathe fire for like one run, and then they got to go rest because like fucking breathing fire is exhausting. They can't just be like spewing fire constantly and just flying all over the place. It's got to be more like lions, and like, you know how like lions are like sleep 18 hours a day. Like, make the dragons sleep like all the time, and then when they're vulnerable, as like when they're asleep because they have to rest, like have armies like track them down and find them. You know, like I'd maybe do something like that. That you only get like one shot, and then the dragon has to like sleep for like 2 hours. And they just need massive amounts of food, and in fact, like you end up like starving and beggaring your entire realm, like feeding a fucking dragon. And it's just totally not worth it. It's actually a better parallel to nuclear weapons. Like, you know, like you spend all this money like beggaring the realm to like get nuclear weapons, and you know you never use them. You know, like, I think that's yeah. Um, just came from Nerdrotic. He's now trying to do positive podcasts on things he's been breaking down for months. You sure inspired a lot of channels, but they can't quite jump as high as you. Thank you. So my intention of like breaking the woke joke, like everybody thinks like the woke thing was not funny, and of course the woke thing was not funny. That's the whole fucking point. The whole thing was that it was not funny. And yes, like my whole intention of being like the message and woke over and over again until it's not funny was to sabotage these motherfuckers. Like, yes, that was my.
I think, no offense, homie, I'm going to cut you off there. I think this person is being very nice to you.
They are. I don't think that he necessarily specifically knows it's me. And it might be that the joke is just getting old in general. But you know, it's like my idea was just to like poison the well. Like, dude, you guys are one shot. Like, you're one trick ponies, and like I'm, you know, they probably don't know who I am. But like, the idea is just to add to the zeitgeist the fact that like these people are one trick, grifters that can only do one thing, complaining about Brie Larson, and that like once that's done, it's done. All right, hold on. Hello, hello. How are you?
Oh, hello. Can you hear me?
I can.
Oh, awesome. Okay, that finally worked. Sorry it took me so
Nice.
long.
Oh, no worries. How's it going?
Your
Oh, it's
place, I'm
going good. I
good.
finished the episode, so I got thoughts, I guess.
Tell me your thoughts, because me,
Oh,
my,
that kind of
me and my
sucked.
fans are kind of in, we're in our echo chamber here. So when everybody's like, what the fuck at the end of that episode, how are you feeling about it?
I guess I'm just more confused than anything. I was just like, what is happening? Why is he killing Joffrey Lonmouth? What is the point of this?
That was my thing, is like, even if you accept, like, it's ridiculous, the logistics of like him killing somebody and still being able to walk around is ridiculous, but also there wasn't an established motivation to kill him on top
Right.
of it.
Like he wasn't threatening him, or I guess like maybe if you look at it really, really like nitpicky, I guess he was maybe I don't know. He wasn't saying anything that would like really trigger that response.
No, the only way I can accept it and understand it, it makes Kristen look like a homophobe. Like
Yeah, yeah,
that he
yeah.
was
It does.
doing it because all of a sudden he realized he was going to be part of this weird, like, sex ring that involved gay people.
I did not. I'm sorry. I
Yeah,
didn't get
yeah.
that at all. I got that he was impulsive, brash, and that he just can't has a temper problem. That's what I got. I didn't get the homophobic thing at all. And he's just
Yeah.
Christian's a fucking loser. Like, bro, really,
Well,
you gonna get pissy over a woman? Like, shut
well,
up. Come
Carmine,
on, why?
put it this way. Like, okay, get in jealous boyfriend mindset. Okay, so you're in jealous boyfriend mindset. Your girlfriend's leaving you. Okay, would you be more comfortable that she's leaving you for a straight man, or are you more comfortable that she's leaving you for another woman?
I don't know, man. I don't know, but I just didn't get that. I didn't get that he was homophobic, though I wouldn't mind it. Also, why why does he have his helmet off? All the Kingsguard have their helmet on, maybe except for the Lord Commander, which okay. Why does he have his fucking helmet off? And he has like this like this pouty face that's like making it
Right,
very clear
which
he
outs
has
him
a problem with
immediately.
the whole.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I guess my like try I'm trying to retroactively look back at it. Like maybe he's like super like religious in the faith of the seven because he was like kind of obsessed with his honor and breaking his vow. So maybe that's something
They should have
he felt like he
established
needed to get.
that he was like
Yeah,
in the
yeah.
faith. But then, like, why go to the heart tree?
Oh yeah, that's a good point.
Like,
Didn't even really notice that. You're right.
Why go to
right,
Heart
Yeah,
like,
Tree?
why would he
Because they
kill
haven't
himself
built
in
the
front of a
Grand
heart
Steps
tree?
yet.
but for me personally, like, the like in it being in that jealous situation and having experienced that jealous situation, like, if a woman were to leave me for another woman, I would be like, well, it's not my fault. She's she's it's not my fault. It's not on me. She's just attracted to women, and it would ease my ego, um, rather than like enrage me. You wouldn't be happy about someone leaving you, but it seems that there's less jealousy if they're leaving you for something that's it's not nothing that you've done that's your fault. You can't have the same sort of feeling of inadequacy if she's leaving you for another woman as you can for another man, because you can be like, well, there are things I could actively do to be a better man than that other man that she's leaving me for. Well, if a woman's leaving you for another woman, you don't have that same sort of feelings of jealousy because there's nothing that can be done. In this situation, like, Kristen Cole, like, Rhaenyra is never going to have romantic feelings with Laenor, and can never get there because Laenor is gay. Like it should be some relief to to Sir Criston, rather than for him for that to be the straw that breaks the camel's back, and for him to go to murder a guy.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just felt so like random and just for like almost like just shock value. Like it didn't make sense logically within the story, and it just kind of was a violent, brutal scene I felt like just for the shock almost.
Yeah, I mean, I think it sinks the episode. It sinks it's pretty hard. And
Yeah.
this I would say this is a troubling scene, troubling. I mean, I'm being a lot more negative than Carmine. Carmine's like, I liked it as much as the first episode, but I'm pretty negative on this.
I was entertained. I was fine. I was entertained. I'm just eating very well. Like, I'm so glad we got to see the Hightower household guard again. I'm so glad we get to see that, and we get some lore on the Hightowers. And you know me, man. We're eating good. Stop it. Stop it. It's good.
I thought Damon being allowed to be there was kind of stupid too, and like and being allowed to touch like Rhaenyra was stupid. Like I feel like Viserys would interfere.
It's true. I mean, it's only been like 2 weeks or at most since the incident.
Yeah,
you know, like there's
it's still fresh, and
yeah, it's still fresh. Had there been another time skip, maybe I would have accepted it, but there wasn't a time skip. It was like immediate. Like had it been like, we're gonna get married in 6 months or something, and then someone said that, you know.
I sense a great disturbance in the Force.
Oh, another great disturbance.
Of course, it's
what is it?
No, this time it's just Dragon Demands in the comment section. He makes a good point.
Okay.
He says Christian wanted to marry Rhaenyra, but now he realizes he's just the new whore for Rhaenyra. The Ray Joffrey is the side piece for Laenor. Yeah, okay, yeah,
sure,
right. But then he knew that before. I think that
right.
The only thing that would be like, oh, I'm just as bad as this gay guy. Like you can't divorce it from the homophobia.
Kristen Cole in the books is homophobic, right? I think he makes a joke or something at a small council meeting.
Yeah, you're
right.
I
think he like says like boys weren't safe around Laenor or something like that, or something along those lines.
Yeah, I think
so maybe they are going that route.
No, I mean I think it. I think you may be right. Like I don't. It's like it's a really bad scene, so I don't know like how much they were thinking about, but it's like that that does make me think like, how can one not think that someone were going to think that? Well, one, how are you not going to think it? Like anytime you have a straight character beating to death a gay character, how are you not going to think about the gay bashing, like anti-gay character, like homophobia aspect to it in general? But
I don't know, man. I gotta disagree with you on this. I think just because you beat up a gay dude doesn't make you homophobic. It just means you're beating up a guy who just happens to be gay. Personally speaking, if I beat up an Asian guy,
having beaten up like dozens of gay guys on the streets of Newark. Let me just tell you, they just happen to be.
If I get into a fight. If I get into a fight with an Asian guy, just whatever the fuck, because maybe he did some whatever, doesn't mean I hate Asian guys. I just got into a fight with this one guy who just happens to be an Asian guy. This has nothing to do with it. Now, if I'm beating him and like I'm yelling racial slurs against Asian people, then you have something. I don't know. I'm just not convinced on that one.
I guess in this circumstance is weird.
Episode 3.
I guess like in this circumstance, his reaction was in response to what what's his name, Joffrey said, right?
Yeah.
What did he say? He's like
he said we're gonna protect them or something.
Right. It's in our best interest to like protect them. I don't see why he'd react the way that he did. I just don't understand it.
Yeah, my only interpretation is that he somehow saw being part of the being part of their whole sex ring was corrupt. Okay, this is the Kristen Cole quote. I found it. Kristen Cole in Princess and the Queen says, "Seven saved this realm if we seat a bastard on the Iron Throne." He spoke of Rhaenyra's wanton ways and infamy of her husband. "They will turn the Red Keep into a brothel. No man's daughter will be safe, nor any man's wife, even the boys. ... We know what Laenor was." So yeah, Kristen Cole was a homophobe. Yes. So they are being consistent with his character that he's a homophobe. Yeah.
Sure, but did he say that in the show?
Well, Kristen's hardly had any lines on the show. He said nothing so far.
Right, so that's what I'm saying. But the one thing I am curious about is, how the fuck does he still have a job? Or maybe he was.
This is another thing that's screwed up, right? So in the books, he is raised Lord Commander before the incident, and then here the incident, he's not a Lord Commander yet. The incident happens, and then eventually he gets pushed up to that. Like, the guy should be on the wall or dead or executed.
Right. I don't understand why they would want him to be near Laenor and everybody anymore. Like anybody in the royal court. Like, I don't know why he's allowed there.
You'd think that, like, by request of Laenor, the princess's husband, the future, like, father of kings, that guy would be. Doesn't matter if he's right or not, but, like, get that guy off the fucking Kingsguard. Like, get him fucking off. I don't care if these are, like, vows for life. I understand that, like, they're going to try to pull, like, Alicent vouched for him. Like, no, fuck that. Like, dude, you're gone. Like, I'm sorry. You're fucking gone. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense to me. Real quick,
also,
super chat here. What's that?
The way Joffrey dies in the book, isn't it much different? I feel like it is.
It's an attorney.
We went through it a while ago.
Yeah,
there it is.
Yeah. He's killed with the Morning Star during Attorney.
So they're changing things around. Why couldn't we just have, like, a normal wedding? Like, why did we need to have this here?
Because they spent all their money on the fucking hands on the heirs tourney. They couldn't have another tourney. That's the whole thing.
Need drama too.
Oh.
Yeah. We saw how little dragons we saw. Like, we wasted all of that money. All the dragon CGI money was wasted on episode 3. And then all of the tourney money was wasted on episode 1. So this episode, like, they're like, what do we got? Well, we got some costumes. We can get some people to dance. But we saw very little dragons. And they just talked about, well, we're going to have this really great tourney. And then it doesn't happen.
But freaking Dragon Mans makes a good point. Joffrey dies in Attorney, so it's legal. It's like legal that he died there.
Right. That makes more sense.
Would have not been punished.
Right.
Right. It could be deemed as, like, an accident. Like,
right. There's ambiguity to it. There's ambiguity to it where you have plausible deniability for, like, why you fucking, like, murdered somebody. I didn't murder somebody. It was an accident. Wah, wah. And he's already Lord Commander. In fact, I think had he accidentally killed Joffrey and then they raised him to Lord Commander, that wouldn't have worked in the books either. But he was already Lord Commander and he accidentally killed Joffrey. But now he straight up fucking murders a man and then they promote him.
And he lingers around there for a decade.
Yeah. I mean, right afterwards, he was fucking free to roam the castle, and the queen walked out to him unprotected, like a murderer. He still had his weapon on him. Like, he still had a knife on him and a sword. Like, let's let that guy. Let's not, like, put him in a cell and let him cool down for the evening. Even if you were to believe that guy, like, really legitimately, like, had a reason to kill Joffrey Lonmouth, which is not established. But, like, you would at least like be like, okay, like, why don't you go to your chambers? Why don't you go to your why aren't you sitting in a cell, like chilling until we question everybody to figure out exactly what happened? Oh man. And
Do you think they wanted
Did
this to be
someone
like?
try Did someone try Preston? Did someone try calling a while ago?
It was Trey again.
Oh, okay.
I guess.
Yeah, I tapped out like a second ago. I think my Wi-Fi went down or something like
Yeah.
that. Do you think they wanted this to be called like the Green Wedding or something like that? Like it would be this would be like a dramatic moment that fans would remember.
I guess, or something. They needed something shocking. But you can't just have shocking and have it make no sense. The thing about the Red Wedding,
Yeah.
what's wonderful about the Red Wedding and why the Red Wedding is so good is that the result of the Red Wedding makes more sense than the wedding without it. Right?
Mm.
Like when you actually like added up all the pieces of the story. Like Walder Frey being like, fine, it's just as good that, you know, I get Edmure married to one of my kin rather than the king, Robb Stark. Sure, I'm perfectly fine with that. That would be actually more illogical than everybody getting fucking murdered, right? So like, what's great about the Red Wedding is it makes sense. Like, oh yeah, no, I can see that. I can see that. Like, no one's sitting there going, no, Walder Frey did something completely illogical. No, he did something like completely logical. Brutal, but logical, you know? This is just shock for the sake of shock.
Yeah. Some person said Christian is tying up loose ends. 2 people know the secret. So he murdered him to hide the secret, I guess, of his
But he thinks everybody
affair
knows the
with
secret, doesn't he? I mean, where would Alicent have heard it from? Because she heard a rumor. Like from his perspective, everybody should be knowing the secret. Like it's totally out. Huh. And Joffrey just figured it out by like looking across.
Like looking for like 5 minutes.
What I'm talking about. If this motherfucker didn't have his helmet off, Joffrey would have not have noticed anything. It's so dumb. That part is dumb.
So Carmine's like, this is the thing. Carmine loves the armor. He's so focused on the armor that he's like, fuck. Have they just done the fucking right thing with the armor?
This motherfucker didn't have his helmet on. Why is everybody... Whatever. Anyways, Lord of the Rings, Preston. Rings of Power.
Hold on. Well, we don't have Yoyston, so we're not going to talk Rings of Power without Yoyston. But I've got some super chats here. Gotta slow poison him so Aegon has time to grow up. That's why he told Alicent to prepare him. Great live stream. Shout out to Carmine. 7.5 out of 10 episode. I disagree with the 7.5 out of 10, though that's a very good point that you can't kill Viserys now because Aegon is not old enough. It's true that we need Aegon to be old enough to take the throne, because that's the weighted option. You are correct, but I don't know why they'd be poisoning him at all. Like, just wait until they need him to die and then poison him then. Like, you don't need to slow poison him unless you want him to, unless there's something mental that they want him to not have his cognitive abilities in place or something, you know.
Well, what do you think he has, Preston?
What's that?
What do you think Viserys has? Like, he's got, like, I saw it. He's got weird stuff on his arm and stuff. It almost looks like grayscale.
So someone said that in the comments, someone said that the actor said that Viserys has leprosy, which I don't know if I buy that, because isn't leprosy, doesn't that rot away everything and everything just starts falling off? I feel like
there's a few things about leprosy. One, leprosy is contagious. You catch it from other people and you give it to other people. So it's very odd that he would be the only one with leprosy. You know?
Right. That's why I was like, what? How does that make sense?
I mean, he's having sex with Alicent. Maybe not regularly, but enough. Like, wouldn't he be?
Someone said tuberculosis, and okay.
I mean, I at this point it has to be like Mello's placing odd things on his body at certain times or something, or someone bathing him like taps on like some sort of skin poison or something.
I'm gonna add to your post-apocalyptic theory. Maybe Melos, one of the chains, one of the links on his chain, is nuclear material, and he's
That
putting it,
he's
rubbing it
ingested some
on.
nuclear material and it's radiation poisoning.
Yeah.
It's a slow
It's
death of
a
radiation poisoning.
Wait. I was making a joke. Don't make that face like it's interesting. I was making a joke. You think
I mean,
that's what it is?
I considered it for a moment. I was like,
Oh man.
he's getting devoured by that goo from Song for Leah, the shklima or whatever it's called.
The Grishka. Yeah, that's right. Because they
Yeah.
to prepare them for the Grishka, they put a little bit on their on their forehead, and they kind of get to prepare themselves to get connected a little more. Though Leah herself just walks straight in. The I think who did I think might have radiation poison? I think the story about Arya flying to Valyria and coming back and having like her flesh rotting away. I was like, it sounds like she went to Valyria and got radiation poisoning and came back. Like that was my and they just like made up the whole lie about worms coming out of her body, and that was a bunch of bullshit. Yeah. Gilbert King, does the green fire for calling banners mean the Hightower Citadel is also made of an oily black stone green fire equals wildfire? I think the green fire is implied to be wildfire when they mention that. Is that from anything? That's news to me. Have you heard of this green fire?
I never heard of the green fire with the high tower, and which is weird because if it's wildfire, I think we know that the maesters and the pyromancers aren't really friends with each other, right? Like they're
That's right.
competing with each other almost.
Mm-hmm.
So like I don't know if the maesters, the Citadel, unless they employ pyromancers, I guess I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's
You
just
think Hightower?
Oh no, actually, I'm sorry. It's from Fire and Blood. It's mentioned in of all places the Sons of the Dragon chapter, which is Maegor the Cruel and Aenys. So the green flame was lit during the war on the faith from Maegor. So it is from the books.
Okay.
But it does sound like it's wildfire to me. But yeah, that's learn something new every day. But like I say, the pre Rogue Prince material in Fire and Blood, I'm shaky on. That's where you're gonna find. If you want to poke holes, it's like my embarrassment. From not recognizing that there was one Caesarean section in the material.
Oh, by the way, Preston, real quick. I don't know if you noticed this, but when someone just reminded me to show you this, I'll show it to you on Facebook so you can put it on here if you want. Did you notice anything familiar about Rhaenyra walking with Laenor on the beach?
Oh, yeah, I saw that.
Anything?
Carmine.
You saw that? You saw my tweet?
I saw your tweet about it. I was like, oh my god, that's crazy.
let me see this.
That's just, I don't know if that's a coincidence or that, but that's a great coincidence. Having trouble opening up Twitter? Oh no, you got it. So basically, audience, we got the Windows 10 login screen in the House of the Dragon. There he is.
Yeah,
I love it. I love it. I'm gonna make that my login screen. Fuck it.
Like I feel like it can't be because everybody has that login screen. Everybody's seen it, right? So maybe it's like a subconscious influence. I don't know because it doesn't match exactly up because it's
No,
CG.
right?
It looks like.
I mean, you know, having a cave on a beach with like, you know, a couple of islands in the distance. It's not exactly something that's
Oh, stop it, you
isolated to
party
one
pooper.
place. But
Stop it, you party pooper.
I'm trying to think if like the angle of the like the was different, that we'd get a different scene. Because all the
I
lighting
love the
stuff
people
I
in the comment
understand just
section.
changed. Huh.
Everyone's trying to figure out what the fuck he has. Yo, it must be lupus, bro. everybody is going off like, "Dude, you sure it's not diabetes? What?
It's
What?
diabetes. He's got diabetes.
Yeah. Larius is 100% in the walls. Harwin has Chad energy. Also, Lionel was a lot more sneaky this episode. I guess he's hand now. I'm trying to think of like what Lionel did that was sneaky in the episode itself, besides just being a good talker. Harwin, yeah, I think he's supposed to have some Chad energy, but
Yeah, he was cool.
yeah,
Just get up and just picking up, throwing people. That's awesome.
yeah. I finally feel like he was Breakbones. Like in the episodes before, where he's like, when I first saw him, I was like, this guy looks like a regular dude who's like regular sized. And then Viserys is like the strongest knight in Westeros. I was like, it doesn't look like the strongest knight in Westeros. And this episode, I'm like, okay, I'm feeling it. Larius is 100% in the walls. Yeah, I hope so. Or at least he's hired somebody to go in the walls. I mean, this idea that, you know, maybe cheese works for Larius, but I think it's a better reveal to have that Kaiser Solse moment where he this is back on the I don't appreciate how they're attacking She-Hulk. That show is awesome. She-Hulk is really fucking good, isn't it?
This last episode was a whatever. This the one about the Titania and the
Oh, I thought it was
copyright,
hilarious.
that
I
was
just
whatever.
thought the premise was so hilarious. Like the premise is
It
just
is, it's
so
funny, but it was whatever.
I don't know. I like some of the secondary characters too. I like the growing ensemble. I don't know.
Mhm.
I think the idea is less that Melos is slowly poisoning Viserys and more that he's not properly treating Viserys' infected wounds. He's hoping that the infection kills him, and with each infection, hence ignoring New Maester's advice. Yeah, it's just that, you know, they should really be trying to keep him alive until Aegon is of age, right? You know? Yeah, so I don't know. I don't necessarily. I mean, visually, I guess it's interesting for something to be happening to Viserys' character, but it does seem a little odd that like all at once well, actually, so slowly. It's the reverse. It seems very odd that so slowly he's dying. Like he needs to die like at
Yeah,
a very specific time, rather
I'm
than
amazed that he's because I thought they were gonna. I was wondering if they were gonna switch it up and have him die early. I would be like, "Whoa, that's weird."
right.
But because there was that scene where he did the fade to white clouds, and I was like, "Oh, is he dead?"
Right, he's looking like he's about to die in this episode, and he's gonna live another like another 15 years, or maybe that's their fake out. We all think he's gonna die, and then he just doesn't fucking die. It's true that Kristen like was staring at Rhaenyra the whole time. Like, come on, yeah, he does kind of out him. He's not being a very
Wouldn't
good
have noticed it
keepsake.
if you had a fucking helmet on.
Um, Preston, you're a fucking downer, bro. You can't just like something. You need to either be completely enamored by it or it's the worst piece of shit in the world. You suck.
Oh
Well,
man.
I know. Jeez. I know, guys. Gosh, golly.
I love those comments.
Did
Gosh,
they pay for that?
golly.
They give you a donation for that?
Oh. Hey, that's the thing is like I'm an Oberyn Martell man. Life is worth having passion for. Okay, I'm Oberyn Martell. I either love something or I hate it. There's nothing in between. I will write poetry for my 8 daughters. That's Oh, no chance he has what Arya did, right? Well, yeah, this gets into our situation with like the radiation poisoning. Arya dies pretty quickly. Like comes back from Valyria and then falls apart and has like
From the
worms
fireworms.
come out of her,
Right.
supposedly incepted Barth's like writings. But yeah, so I just speed wise, whatever Viserys has, it's slow enough to essentially not kill him until he's old enough to die of old age. Oh, um, what happens if you eat just a little bit of Grishka? Think of a Thin Mint. No, I think if you eat a little bit of Grishka, you're I mean, will your stomach no? Will your stomach acids kill it? I think you'd probably it would end up bonding to you, and then you'd end up like as part of the net, as part of the werewolf.
I'm gonna ask that to George. It'd be my first question if I ever meet him about that question about the Grishka.
Yeah,
And he'll be like, "What?" I'll be like, "What are you talking about? I don't remember that."
I know. I asked him if so at the end of the story, like one of the characters like hypothesizes that the Grishka has a psi lure to bring people to it. And so I asked George that, and he's like, I don't remember. So it's like, okay. I was like, damn it, because like I was wondering like how much of the werewoods are like, and the children of the forest are doing that kind of stuff. I keep lifting my arms, and there's like sweat in my arms because it's Taipei and it's humid here. The Lannister joke was 10 out of 10, best bit of the episode. What did Jason say?
He said women can't drive or something.
He said something sexist. It was a
Didn't like
dumbass
that.
sexist joke.
Oh, he says if the women went to war, they wouldn't be ready in time.
Yeah, because they take so long to get ready because Alicent wasn't there.
Now, I do have to say though that taking that joke as a meta commentary on the show and on the Dance of the Dragons is kind of funny. Like, right? Like Alicent and Rhaenyra are taking their fucking sweet time going to war, like taking a fucking generation to get there. So that is kind of clever on a meta sense, but like is it clever in the women couldn't go to war because they would take too long getting ready? Yeah, I think George would probably himself say that like if women were in charge, there wouldn't be as much war. I think George himself would say that, but but not for that reason. I think he would say that like that female culture has a more nurturing nature to it, and that there wouldn't be like this there wouldn't be the toxic masculinity of like needing to be tough and needing to go to war, and that women would do a better job at resisting the urges to throw their dicks around and being pushed into stuff than men would.
I don't know, man. I would normally have believed you like years ago, but ever since the emergence of Marjorie Taylor Greene and Lauren Boebert, I don't know. I don't know.
Oh yeah, well, yeah. I mean, that's the problem is that like the problem is like what we associate with toxic masculinity. Like women can be infected with that as well. Like it's not like there aren't women that suffer from toxic masculinity that like do those sorts of things. It's just the term we use, and we perhaps need a better term than because the terms we have for machismo or toxic masculinity are all kind of like associated with men. But it's true that like women can get into those same mindsets, those same horrible mindsets of like I don't need to, take something like the kind of classic toxic masculinity things are like not showing your emotion, thinking it's weak to cry, not showing love towards your family, walking off like injury, like that kind of stuff. Like, and lots of women can do that too. So it's I think we just don't have a very good name for like what that is. It's certainly more associated with men, and I think of course like men fall into it much more than women, but it's certainly possible to have that same sort of like harsh kind of feelings, like I don't know, you see that they have that female head of the NRA that's in all the commercials and stuff, like, or that really angry anchor on Fox News, Laura Ingraham, like, like she suffers from all of that. So, I don't know. We'll eventually come up with better terms, but I don't know. If current men, if current men gave up power to current women, probably there'd be less war. I don't know. It's all kind of like certain cultural situations right now. So, oh, I looked it up. The Windows 10 beach is in New Zealand. Was Driftmark also filmed in New Zealand?
I don't know. I don't think so, but still pretty cool. Still pretty cool.
Yeah. Does he have diabetes? I don't know if coughs and nosebleeds are from diabetes. Yeah. Laurie strong, Harwin weak. I don't know, man. Harwin seemed pretty.
By the way, on the topic of Harwin, real quick, so the next episode is the massive time skip, and we get the Strong Boys insult and all that, and the allegations, and it's in the episode 6 preview. I would have liked for these rumors to have some validity coming from them actually being somewhat close, but Rhaenyra has like she's probably spoken to Harwin Strong maybe 2 times. And one time she was running from Daemon and she like runs into him in the street.
Yeah,
and I think that was it. Oh, no, and then the other time was in episode 3 during the hunting feast. And that was it. I don't think she's ever spoken to him ever again. And they're not shown to be friends. He just he kind of dances with her, but Daemon cuts in and then he picks her up when like the brawl is going down. But that was it. There was, I think is going to be a very weak plot point going forward for me.
I love She-Hulk. I think She-Hulk's really good. I mean, you got to also remember it's a light comedy. It's a light comedy. Like I watch every episode. I laugh like quite a bit in each episode. It's really fun. I look forward to the next one. The only criticism I have of it is that the CGI for She-Hulk doesn't look that great. So, but like other than that, I fucking love it. I think it's a fun show. Preston is woke. Wife didn't take his name. Greater than symbol. Cuckboy. Huh. The keep in mind that like taking names kind of thing, like well, first off, like I just want to say that having been in a lot of relationships in my life, because I got married kind of late, and so I had a lot of relationships. I will tell you that having a mate that is equal to you is so much more rewarding than having a mate that's subservient to you. It is, when we're talking about us all being lonely in the universe, and like looking for empathy and understanding and being scared of the fact that we're in this expanding universe that's expanding faster than the speed of light, and we're all going to die, and we're looking for meaning and things like this. And the fact that you can like find somebody else that you think is your equal, that you respect and is intelligent and driven and has insights that you didn't think about, and can help you like share this universe together, like is so much more rewarding than having somebody that you think is your inferior, that you own, that is just like a pawn to you. Like I've definitely dated people that I just thought were my intellectual inferior, and it just was not as satisfying. It's so much more rewarding to be with somebody that's equal. I read an interesting thing about who's the guys? Do you know which pro wrestler I'm talking about? The guy that goes woo, the old one with the blonde hair.
Ric Flair.
Ric Flair. I remember reading something about him and Ric Flair, and he was writing it in that he had been with like I think it was, I don't know if it was 10,000, maybe I forget about the thousands, but it was thousands of women. And it was understandable. The guy's on the road all the time. After every show, he can probably have sex with a different woman if he wants, you know. But like, it's also really sad because he never found the one. Like he never found, and he was married a bunch of times very briefly, but he never found like the one to be with for one's own whole life. That, you know, that made him feel not alone. And like, it's so, like, I feel sorry for people that don't find that. Like, I feel really sorry for people that like, that think about relationships like that, that desire relationships like that. Like you never want to find somebody to share the universe that you think is your equal. That would just be a really lonely existence. And so like it's all like, I really kind of like pity like the mindset, and like because you'll never know like what the rest of us experience. Anyway, moving on.
No, you're right though. You are correct. There's a real loneliness and depression problem in the U.S. and it comes from a lot of these young guys who listen to Andrew Tate and they think that, you know, they love listening to Andrew Tate because Andrew Tate tells them they're not the problem, the women are the problem. I don't know about that.
And fucking Kristen Cole, man. Okay, that's right. Viserys fainted. Only Alicent could get Kristen locked up. Well, there's 7 Kingsguard, right? So some people are going to attend to... So Harwin is attending to Rhaenyra. A few like, how many Kingsguard do you need to attend to Viserys? Right? 3? So now we got 3 extra... Well, I mean, not counting. We got 2 extra guys. We got plus regular guards. Like the Kingsguard are not the only guards they have, because that would be stupid. They've got like the City Watch, like all these different people like to handle stuff. They've got I don't know, anybody that's friends with Joffrey Lonmouth, like anybody from House Lonmouth there. Like first, also all the fucking honor-seeking knights that would push, that would be like, I must stop this intruder. Like there'd be so many of those dudes that are like, a man was murdered, we need to bring him to justice. Like, a duel, sir. Like, you'd think there'd be those motherfuckers. Like, right? Nobody.
He's had to walk free the night of, apparently.
Yeah, I know. Mm, mm. I feel like toxic protector would cover a lot of toxic masculinity things. Uh, yeah, I do get that. So I think what Diana is talking about is like the women the I'm gonna put women on a pedestal, but not really on a up pedestal, on like a down pedestal. They're a little they're my precious action figure still in the package that I need to keep in a glass case that I can um, observe kind of stuff. There's a lot of that. I think what hurts a lot of men as well is there's a lot of health stuff. I mean, binge drinking, getting pushed on men, not going to the hospital, not getting like regular exercise, like aerobic exercise, and instead focusing on like muscle workings. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that's just like straight up like medical stuff. Like when something's wrong, go to the fucking hospital. Like don't walk it off. Um, the binge drinking thing, like men should not be getting pushed into this like drinking stuff. And keep in mind, like I did it. Oh my god! Like through most of my 20s, I was getting drunk at least 3 times a week. Like um, college, yeah, I was getting drunk, 4 times a week. Um, it was not healthy stuff. Like, and it's just you got to prove yourself. You got to prove yourself. Oh, I can handle my liquor. I'm gonna just keep drinking. Um, so there's a lot of some medical stuff like that. Like that's you know. Uh, so um, toxic femininity. There are some aspects to toxic femininity. There are definitely the aspects to female culture that hurt female culture. Um, I think most women would accept that women can be very catty and talk behind each other's backs, um, and can be
The
very
movie Mean Girls is all about that.
yeah. I don't think anybody like denies that toxic femininity exists. It's just much less of a problem than toxic masculinity. I think I think also toxic masculinity spills into and hurts women, um, rather than toxic femininity is women hurting women, and there's not much to toxic femininity that hurts men. So it's like it's a kind of a directional thing. I think toxic masculinity, we hear about it because it's women complaining about toxic masculinity. It's about things that men do that hurt them. But I bring up toxic masculinity because I'm like, dude, there's lots of things we do that hurt ourselves. Like it's in men's when I say to men like it's in your best interest to be a feminist, because like it's in your best interest to be a feminist. Like there's so many things we do to hurt ourselves that we could stop, and like a Song of Ice and Fire is so much about this. It's so much about men hurting themselves. Like we don't have to hurt ourselves. I mean, the movie Fight Club is about this. Like how much do you have to beat yourself up before you kind of stop and allow yourself to be happy? Like that's what Fight Club is. He's beating himself up, right? How much do men have to beat themselves up? So, yeah. Hmm. Um, Jon Snow is a strong. Hmm. Hmm. Uh, is your arrangement matrilineal too? No, my kids. That's the other thing. Is like my kids have my surname, so like it's already like we've already kept this like massive sexist aspect to it. Like I'm already getting like the sexist aspect to it. Like like whether my wife takes my name or not is just nothing to me. Like it's just you know um so there it is. I mean, deep down, like it's yeah. I kind of like the fact that like my kids have my names, and and that's a sexist desire, and I'm being shitty, because we should really flip a coin, or merge names, or do something like that. But no, they have my surname, and so it's you know I'm already getting, a great deal. All right. That's the thing is like, when people are like, I've taken advantage of being a man so much in my life. So much. I got so much. I took well advantage of everything, of every aspect of being a man in my life. The world is built for men, and men get a lot out of it, and I've taken it all. Like seeding my wife's name. Oh God, that's so small on the grand scheme of things that I've gotten out of being a man. Man, oh man. Your videos on Mendelian inheritance genetics of dragons and hatching and riding are absolutely brilliant. Can't tell you how many times I've watched it and constantly refer to it with the new House of the Dragon series. Thank you. In fact, I haven't even reviewed it in a long time. It did take me a long time to put it together, and I guess it stands a testament that's still kind of working today. The Dragon X kind of thing. Obviously, the big weakness is where does Allison get her specialness from? If her kids can dragon, fly dragons. Do the High Towers have Valyrian blood of some sort or similar blood? By the way, Carmine, Trey, have you noticed the blood flows in the beginning after Viserys and Emma Arryn? There's this weird blood flow, and then it was changed in like the third episode to add another
really?
blood. Are those supposed to be the High Towers?
I didn't notice that. I'll have to look back.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
I never notice it because I always skip the intro, and you can never convince me to watch that awful intro. So bad.
During the first episode, I thought it was like Daemon and their dead brother Aegon or something, because there's like these two. They kind of go down the cycle, and most things are pretty well identifiable. So you've got Jaehaerys and Alysanne with their many paths. And then you don't even get to see them because they're already covered in blood. But like Balon and Alyssa are already covered in blood. And then they switch to like the other path, and it's like aqua green for like the Velaryons, and you see like Rhaenys and maybe Corlys up there. And then they show Viserys and Emma Arryn, and then they show it was at first a single path passing through these two discs, and I didn't know what they were, so I thought maybe they're Daemon and their brother Aegon. But then they added a second stream of blood merging together with it, and so some people are thinking maybe that it's Alicent Hightower, but then it's like, why is the blood of the dragon going through Alicent Hightower? But it's weird. It's weird stuff. I need to. I think people are still like not figuring out like what the. If I can't figure it out, is a random? Ah, man.
Yeah, the intro it's tough to understand what's going on in there. I guess I haven't taken the time to really look at it. I didn't even notice that there was a change between episodes.
I think there's this like extra stream of blood, but we shall see. We shall see. I challenge you to a duel.
I do really like her.
Could he have cancer? Again, too slow. So generally speaking, like cancer, like even slow growing cancers, like are gonna kill you, within a 10-year horizon. So this is a big thing about, and actually I would say noticeable cancer, it's gonna kill you within a 5-year horizon. So like cancer in general is measured in what they call 5-year survivability. And so when we talk about like cancer treatments and everything, and whether we're improving as a society in treating cancer, they'll talk about cancer survival. Well, they don't mean like you beat cancer and now you're living the rest of your life healthy. Because let me tell you, that's not life. Okay, you beat cancer and you're still kind of dying of cancer. Okay, so like because there's either going to be some sort of complication or the cancer is going to come back or whatever. Okay, it's very rare to just like beat cancer and I never got to have a problem again. So there has been in the past 20 years great improvement in the 5-year cancer survival rate, but they aren't really sure if it's about actually extending life or just detecting the cancer earlier. Because if you start catching cancer like 2 years earlier, oh, I didn't notice that on that scan. Oh, well, you got this little lump here. Then Phil. Hello, Phil. Hello, you there, Phil?
I'm here. Sorry to hijack the end of your stream.
No worries, no worries. I can stay on a little longer with you. But yeah, I thought I'd done my Fill the Issues guy square.
Before you continue on, Trey, you good? If you want to bow out, I know it's 1 a.m. for you. If you want to bow out.
Yeah, I might bail out. I gotta get some reading done tonight, but thanks for having me on.
Oh, anytime. Please come back next time.
Awesome.
Otherwise,
Trey, nice to meet you kind of again.
Nice to meet you again.
Ships passing in the night.
I swear
before you go, Trey.
Now
that we have everybody here, did you get like later in this week? Do you want to do like a round table, like mid-season round table of some sort?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Yeah, that sounds fun.
That would be good. I think that would be fun. Okay.
I actually have I'm down for like a mid-season like podcast thing, but I have someone in mind for our episode 5 podcast stuff.
Okay.
So if you don't mind.
All right,
but we can also get Trey in, and if Phil wants to join us for like a mid-season thing.
Yeah.
I told both Trey and Phil privately, I fucking love it. I love it when we have people on because it's less me talking and more you guys, and I don't have to edit my shit. Fucking yes. Love it.
Yes. All right. Well, thank you, Trey, for joining me.
Of course, no problem.
All right, cool. I'll see you next time. Oh, so Phil, how's it going?
Yeah, it's going all right. I thought it was a pretty good episode. The only issue I had with it was the scene at the end with Crispy there. He just got to those two guys without no one stopped him. I haven't heard anything you guys said, but that was bothered me, and I talked about that a little bit on my stream. No one saw. He just walked in there and just did that. We didn't see how that fight started. That end scene was a little just convoluted and a little weird, but the rest of the episode was really good. I think the acting and the cinematography is top notch and can't be argued that it's just all pretty consistent. But that scene stunk to me as it was just a little silly at times.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I don't think there's anyone that's not going to have some problems with the ending. I think it doesn't sound like the ending has ruined the episode for you. I think it may have ruined the episode for me.
No. Yeah. It was pretty ridiculous. I mean, if you just think about the whole situation and how it played out, I don't blame you for feeling that way. Sometimes it's easy to kind of take you to task or be like, oh no, that little thing here. But I could absolutely see that aspect of the episode kind of ruining the rest of it because it was kind of, I don't know. They purposely did not show us the beginning of that because the beginning of it would have been just ridiculous to see it. So they cut in at the end when it was already happening because if you try to imagine how the beginning of that situation happened, it's just every possibility is ridiculous.
Yeah, you're right. And they wanted to do fake out that, oh, this is going to be a situation where Damon's going to cause some trouble and it's actually going to be Kristen causing some trouble. And we're going to pull the rug out. I would feel also less, I would feel better about it if I didn't know that there's going to be a 10-year time jump in the next episode. Yeah. Like if it were like, this is going to cut off and I'm like, well, next episode, we're going to get some explanations. And it's like, no, actually next episode, we're fucking time jumping 10 years. So fuck yourself. Like.
I know
By
it's
the
not
way,
in the
on the
story,
topic
but
of that
really,
time jump, real quick, Phil, just so you both know,
oh no worries.
we're getting Aegon the second next episode, but it's only the young version of Aegon, which means we have to go to an adult, a slightly older version. So we're gonna have another time jump that's gonna go up, not as big as 10 years, but still pretty big. So, and Aemon, he has a young version, which we haven't seen yet, which we might see in episode 6, and then he has that adult version with the chin that I always reference. So we're gonna get another like sizable time skip.
Yeah. Real quickly, I wanted to talk about women living longer than men. Yeah, women live longer than men. That's probably something that's mostly biological, but I don't think anyone would deny that some of the behavior of men contributes to the fact that men die earlier. Like, I'm not saying it makes up for the years, because the difference between men and women, I mean, I think on average it's a 2-year difference, but it's actually
Like 77 to 74, so it's something like that.
Like once you get older, it starts stretching out the difference. But the it is like a 2-year difference. But say you can chalk up even like 1.5 or 1.75 years of that to biological. I would still say that there's probably something social that men are doing, whether it be like having laborious jobs, drinking, not going to the hospital, like all of these sorts of things, like are going to contribute to men not living as long. But I think that yeah.
Definitely of a previous generation, Preston. Like there was a certain generation, my stepfather's generation, the generation that's one older than ours, that just would never go to the doctor.
Oh,
That's a big part of it. My stepfather, my uncles, that generation just they saw that as a weakness. I feel like our generation got a little bit better with that. For most of the people that I know of our age group, is still will actually go to the doctor if they're feeling sick, but I remember my uncles, the old Italian uncles, the old Jewish uncles that I had. None of them would go to the doctors. They'd be like, "If you go to the doctor, you're a pussy." That's just not what you do.
Yeah, there's a lot of the DIY, like I'm doing everything myself kind of like attitude to men, that often is imagined. Like we live as part of a society, like we drive on city roads and stuff to get to work, but they're like, I did everything by myself, no one helped me, no one helped build the road that you took to get to your job. Like, really? Like your mom didn't breastfeed you, like, or feed you when you were a child? No, you didn't have public schooling your entire life. No, you did it all by yourself. Like, so there's a lot of that.
Now,
like, I don't need a doctor.
Yeah, no, I'll just rub some sand on it. It'll be all better. It'll be all good. So I know it's not actually in the book material, but Rhaenyra in that moment on the boat when Crispy there basically showed itself to be crazy. Wouldn't the smartest move in that moment to just kill him right there? Shouldn't she have at least considered that option of just taking him out right there? Because he's just, you don't F crazy, and she effed crazy and she got in trouble. You think she would have just Dracarys to that situation and got rid of him if she was a smarter person in that moment.
Yeah, she's young. She's not cruel enough yet.
If she was cruel enough, she would have just taken him out in that moment. He needed
oh my
to
god,
he needed
that
to
would have been
leave.
the smartest thing. I mean, I grant that, like, effing crazy is much more satisfying than effing sane. I get it. Like, it's much more enjoyable experience.
It can be fun. But we've all made that mistake, Preston. We've all made that mistake in our life, but it doesn't work out good.
This is the sad truth of life. Yeah, that, like, oh my gosh, the best you're ever gonna have is with a crazy person. Let me tell you.
And she effed crazy. No, she messed up. She effed crazy, and she learned that in that moment. And she should have Targaryen Dracarys his ass right there in that moment. That should have been how she dealt with it. But instead,
or she should have been like, Whoops, man, overboard. I learned this technique from my uncle.
The throw mama from the train thing. Just throw her off the night was sultry and just toss her off.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
That whole scene is different in the books. In the books, she actually had a better explanation, because wasn't Christian Cole supposedly? I think it was Mushroom who said Christian was the one that suggested the whole running away thing. And when he suggested it, he said something like, "I'll be a sellsword for a merchant prince," or something like that. And she made a very good point. Like, you want me to be the wife of a sellsword who works for a merchant prince? Are you serious? Like, she made a very good point in Fire and Blood, and they kind of left it out here.
Yeah, I think they wanted it to somehow directly parallel her dreams under the tree with Alicent or something. That like, all I want to do is like explore and adventure on my dragon and see the world, and he's like offering her the option to see the world, which is supposedly what she wanted. But, you know, she's been also told the prophecy of Ice and Fire, and, you know, so she had to turn to the camera and be like, "I'm so tired of this storm of swords." As Adam here says. Maynard was mentioning that Alicent is actually the daughter of Sarah, because we brought this up of where did her blood come from, or where does her Targaryen looks come from, or the Hightower Targaryen looks come from. So who knows?
What do you think the relevancy of the fact that they keep showing the trees? Like they focusing on it in this episode too. They focus on the face for a second. Are we supposed to think that Bran is listening to all of this? Is that the point? What do you think, if anything, is the meaning behind the fact that they focus so much on so many of these conversations happening in front of the tree?
I mean, I do think last episode the lying in front of the tree was an important aspect of witnessing things. By the way, I got a whole bunch of comments from people that are like, Rhaenyra didn't lie in front of the tree. And I'm like, where are they getting this idea that Rhaenyra didn't lie in front of the tree? Because she told a whole boatload of lies in front of that tree. And I realized it's from the inside the episode. They interview Miley Aycock. What's her name? The Rhaenyra actress?
Millie? Is that her name? Millie?
Um,
Millie? Is it Millie? Someone in the live chat will tell us.
Millie Alcock.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that's what it is.
Yeah. So they interview Alcock, and they they ask her, and she says, technically, you know, Rhaenyra didn't lie. Now, one, like, we have all watched a lot of these inside the episodes, and like, you can't take what an actor says as like canon, because they're actors. They're reading lines. They're not really thinking about the material too much. They have a specific job. Also, like, they'll run a lot of lines and film a lot of shit that's not in the show, like that's cut. It's not like, you know, or they sometimes don't remember. Like, actors have a real ability to memorize lines for a scene, and then it's out of their brain. So
it's in what, absolutely.
Yeah. So, like, you know, but man, so many people were like, Rhaenyra didn't lie. She didn't lie. I was like, she totally lied. Okay, lied many times over in front of that tree. But I think the tree is there last episode for that. But I think it's just supposed to be a face bearing witness, much in the same way that the rats are faces bearing witness that people are watching. And it's like, yes, in a general thematic sense, like somebody's watching and somebody's pulling strings, and it's like, oh, the mace, like when we saw each of those rats, it's like, yeah, the rats are pulling, like the rats represent, maybe they represent the maesters, maybe they represent the Hightowers, maybe they represent some sort of conspiracy, but they represent something. They represent the watching eyes of some people that are conspiring and pushing events together. I think the werewood represents that too. just on a whole nother higher level, you know. So I think that's what it's about. Now, who's in? Does it make any actual sense? Like, who's the fucking three-eyed crow at this point? We have no idea. Bloodraven's not even born yet, right? So,
someone has to be though, right? There is a three-eyed raven at this point. It's in some way.
Bran said that there were many three-eyed ravens before. Yeah, and
do we have any clue through any of the text anyone before Bloodraven?
No. He just mentions green seers, and so the idea being that children of the forest, a child of the forest could be the green seer. You know, they do talk about some green seers getting married into the Stark line fairly early, like when the Starks take the North. They go to war against on Dragon Point. What's that little area north of near Deepwood Mock? But they Sea Dragon Point.
Sea Dragon Point.
Yeah,
Yes.
they go to the Starks go to war at Sea Dragon Point, and they end up killing the first men there who have green seers in their ranks, and they marry daughters. And oh, hold on a second.
Carmine, finally, I can show this. But this has been years later, Carmine. Someone sent this to Carmine, but he gave this to me, and they wanted us to open this on the stream, but I wasn't able to open it. You remember that, Carmine? Years ago, this is the map of West.
Someone sent that to me.
Remember
and I gave it to you. What?
Yes, you had them send it to my PO box, and then you were supposed to open it on the stream. But so many years passed by, I just fucking opened it eventually. Sorry, I just effing opened it eventually.
No, you're. I don't remember that at all. Wow, that's actually fucking cool. What is that? Is that a magnet? What is that?
It's a wooden cutout of Westeros.
Yeah, laser burned.
Stickies on the yeah, so you can stick it on the wall and shit.
That is fucking awesome. I don't remember this. I forgot. Wow, that's cool as shit. Good shit, man.
Yeah, you gave this to me. So.
That's so cool. I tried giving Preston something, but this motherfucker was like, "You remember that, Preston? You even said, "Oh, am I being an asshole right now?" Like, yeah, a little bit. You know what I'm talking about?
Phil, you have the huge DS9 like old scene behind you.
Yeah, I have the 6 foot tall DS9. And what's interesting is the backside is the secondary cast with Ezri. It's the season 8 cast, so
really?
It's double. Ooh. Yeah, I'll turn it around in a second here.
And you have Matthew McConaughey bongos, man.
Yes, of course. The conga drums and the bongos and stuff. I won't embarrass myself. It's too late to play them, but just in case.
But yeah, that's Sea Dragon Point up there. They go to war up with Sea Dragon Point, and then they marry the daughters. Here, I can add a hold on a second. I can add an overlay of. Oh, never mind. They marry the daughters into the Stark lines, and so the implication is that the Starks get their special genes from these like green seers that they defeated on Sea Dragon Point, and that's where they get their special blood from. But the idea is that there's green seers before this, so maybe one of these green seers was joined into the tree. Maybe even a Stark, you know, or a Flint or whoever, you know. So we have no clue at all who it could be. Man.
I would love to see Preston address the Ferengi's sexism in their capitalistic philosophy. The Ferengi, with their rules of acquisition, is ridiculous and amazing.
Oh yeah, that's why the Ferengi they had to eventually just resolve it and be like, it's done. Sexism is over in one episode of DS9, right? Yeah. I mean,
where Quark's mother essentially became the leader of the Ferengi Empire.
Yeah. It's ridiculous, and because like it if they're so capitalistic focused, there's no reason for them to leave 50% of their labor force naked at home. Like it's very silly.
And that's the amazing thing. If you don't know, the Ferengi women are not allowed to wear clothes in the Ferengi society. It's considered an insult for them to wear clothes.
Yeah, and so they dealt with it.
I
they
left the
undid
voice.
it.
They did with Quark's mother. I know Preston's probably ending things soon here, but I left the voicemail line if anyone wants to leave a last minute voicemail at 781-990-8555. If anyone wants to call on in and ask a question or anything.
All right, cool. Man, oh man. Yeah. Oh, Bloodraven might not be born yet.
Are you excited about the time jump, or are you worried at all about? I think some people are concerned about missing some of the actors, and do you think there's a quality? Should they have extended this whole season with the original actors and stretch things out more, or do you like the pacing of things?
I really believe that they should have gone half pace. I felt like this should have been the end of the season, and that they should have slow burned it. Like, I just spent all of this time getting attached to the Rhaenyra and Alicent actresses. I really like them. There was no need to be going this fast. I think the time, like when they do time jumps, it's a little jarring. And the next time jump we're doing is 10 years and a change of actors. It's I don't necessarily think it's needed. They could have. I know why they did it. They wanted to get everything going to the exciting part with the dance in the second season, and they didn't know how many seasons they had. But I think they think story-wise, this should have been the end of the season. They should have done 10 episodes. Yeah. Because it's not like their filler material about the hunt was bad. I liked the hunt part. I liked the whole white stag part. That was all fine.
Yeah, really.
I liked all the the prophecy stuff, filler. It's all fun. There were so many things you could add, and like I say, you could add. I say this a bunch. Like, I would have added a Lyseni character, and then I would have added an Old Town character, and I would have added a Stark character, and then it had had multiple plots, had B stories. So you'd be like, oh wait, how could you stretch out what we have the whole season? Because we'd have these B stories. We know what's going on with the Starks. We know what's going on with the Lyseni. We know what's going on in like Old Town, and then eventually these characters could meet. The Lyseni, runs into Daemon Targaryen, and we think he might be dead, but then he survives, and we're going to see the Lyseni later. But it didn't happen. But I think it's going too fast. Yeah.
Preston, we don't have a voicemail, but we do have a text saying, going off the show with the prince that was promised prophecy inscribed on the one ring that was promised. I mean, the dagger.
Yes.
Who had the original dream? Who sent it? And who inscribed it on the dagger? Who started this whole thing? Is what the texter is asking.
Huh. Well, let's see. Show only. He only says that the dagger was owned by Aenar, and then who knows before that, right? So
yep,
they could have inscribed it on Dragonstone. Like, it could have been Daenys the Dreamer, and well, actually, wait, hold on, because there's more than one Aenar. Is Daenys' dad also an Aenar? I have to look up this time. This.
Pedro says Daenys in the live chat.
So they definitely mean it was owned by Aenar and then before. So it had to be before Aenar. Someone had so now you're right. I think the texter is right. We're talking about the prophecy existing before even Daenys the Dreamer. Because the dagger was owned by Aenar. Unless Aenar himself inscribed it, which I suppose is a possibility, but But he says that the dagger itself was owned before Einar. But like, huh?
Danny's menace, Pedro. That's funny.
Danny's the menace.
Mr. Wilson.
It would have been a lot better had she just like said nothing. Then we just would have had Valarians without dragons living in Westeros.
Someone says they could have expanded the crab feeder instead of him being a mini boss. We have another text that says, do you think it's possible that Alicent was hoping Cole would spill the beans about Daemon, but instead jump the gun? Yeah, absolutely. About himself. Absolutely. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, she didn't know. It was one of those scenes where like, you know, where everyone's using pronouns and being ambiguous, and you're like, oh geez, there's going to be a misunderstanding. But in fact, it was more, yeah. Well, there was a misunderstanding on Kristen's part. He thought she really knew something, and he just like spilled the beans.
And he gave a perfect example of how not to be interrogated.
Don't talk to cops, people. Just don't talk. Get a lawyer. Yeah. Don't talk to cops. Even if you're innocent, don't talk to cops.
Just don't admit to anything. Just say, I don't know anything. I don't know anything. A lawyer. Oh, we do have a voicemail. Let me listen to the voicemail first before I play it. I'll be right.
Oh man, this Did we already block the Carmine? You already blocked the anti stuff coming through.
Okay, this sounds like a normal voicemail. If you're ready for it, let's. Okay, here we go.
I'll make this quick. Hindsight, obviously, like HBO should have trusted, Ryan and the guys more that they would do this really well. I always knew it would be well done. It's an easy story to adapt besides the dialogue. You have fucking dragons. You have so much Targaryens at one time just going nutty. Could have definitely stretched this out with the younger actors. It's bittersweet, honestly. I actually really started to like Millie Alcock as Rhaenyra in the last 2 episodes. And Emily Carey really stepped into her own in the last episode. But it just sucks. But, the story will be good. Be a lot of action and drama, but they could have definitely stretched out, a lot of the political talking shit like they did in Game of Thrones. But so great episode, great season. I see Preston, he was like really negative in the start, or critical. I expect that from you. But yeah, thanks guys.
So do you think there's any chance of negative feedback because of the change of actresses? Are people going to be too team Millie? Or are people going to be wrapped up with this? Is this going to be a thing?
I know. I think. I really agree with so much from the voicemail. Like the 2 characters I feel most attached to are Rhaenyra and Alicent, right? And they are the ones going. The actors are changing, so it's like you really are fearful that you're not going to be as attached to the new actors, right? Which is too bad, What's weird is there's not even that much of an age difference between the old actors and the new actors.
No, and they did that scene like with all the dirty stuff in the last episode, and it's hard for me to imagine why they needed to cast a different actress for Rhaenyra. It seems like this actress is doing fine, and she could play the older stuff too.
Yeah, she's literally 8 years younger. Like that's it. She's 8 years younger than the other is 10 years. So there's a 10-year difference between the 2 Alicents, and there's an 8-year difference between the two Rhaenyras. And I think they once you dress them up and put them in older clothing, they start looking older. So one of the big weird things about modeling is a lot of the models that you see in magazines are like 13-year-old girls. And because once you put makeup and fancy clothes on people, they look old. And so like, you don't know that like actually that model in this thing she looks like she's 28, but in fact she's 13, 14 years old. That happens a lot. And so, you can do stuff, it's much easier to age people up. And I don't think that it wouldn't have been that bad.
No, it wouldn't have been. And I wouldn't be surprised now if because of all the positive attention that she got in this season, that if in next season when they actually have time to take their time more, that we might get some flashbacks that we wouldn't have gotten normally just to bring her back playing the character. That they wouldn't have put in otherwise during this situation, showing her in some of those transitional times between the end of this episode and the time that we catch up with her. Shows, I could see HBO doing that where, everyone loves her, let's bring her back with some flashbacks.
I hope so, at least in like season 2.
Yeah.
Though
they take their time more in season 2, because I understand in a way season 1 the way they wanted to make sure, because coming off the negative emotions that were happening around the whole Song of Ice and Fire television universe coming off season 7 and 8, I feel like they needed to, or in their mind, they needed to have every episode be a tent pole kind of episode. So they're jumping time in that way to make every episode be a, oh my God, this thing happened in this episode kind of thing. So maybe in season 2, once they know they have the ground underneath them, they'll take their time, do some more character profile things where we flash back to younger Rhaenyra and they make use of Millie again. I hope they do that. I don't know if they will, but I hope they do.
Yeah. I mean, it is a lot about Millie Alcock doesn't look like she'd be the mother of 6. There's some truth to that. And a lot of it is about the fact that they're going to be taking Emma Darcy and aging her up. So it's like, it's how many steps up can you age somebody. So even though I think Millie Alcock could probably even pull let's say she can pull the next time jump, she might not be able to pull a time jump after that,
very, very true. Very true.
So,
and the majority of this series was cast with the other actress. So it's worth waiting to see what that actually feels like with the other actress. Because ultimately, when we look back at this entire series years from now, Millie Alcock is only going to be in 5 episodes, and this other actress is going to be in all the rest of the series as this character. So they cast the majority of this role as Emma Darcy. So it's worth sort of waiting. I don't think they expected everyone to love this actress as much as they are.
Right. I mean, in a sense, maybe we should have more faith in the sense that this is the person that they really wanted for the role, who really embodies the role, and that we're going to be blown away by her, which I think is a probable case. I mean, nearly every actor on the show has been fantastic. I think the only actor that's showed any weakness is Laenor. Every other actor
and Damon's girlfriend there. So don't forget her. I mean, she's an okay actress. It's just she has the accent that some director is not telling her to stop. I consider it like the Batman, the Dark Knight stuff with like someone needed to tell him to not do, I'm Batman. Someone needed to just stop that shit. And someone needs
Chris
to tell
Bale,
her
you're one of the greatest actors of all time. Just don't. There's also there's because I have seen her in other stuff and she's excellent. And some actors need good directors or need certain types of directors. Like Hayden Christensen is a fucking spectacular actor, and yet we all kind of
Portman.
Natalie Portman's a spectacular actor, but I saw Thor: Love and Thunder was like. She wasn't really doing that great in that one. Hayden Christensen did not do a great job in Attack of the Clones, but he did fucking incredible stuff before and after. So I don't. So a lot of times it's about who works with a certain director well and stuff like that. So yeah. Oh,
we
man.
do have a couple of text messages not related to this specific episode. Was reading over this time period in Fire and Blood, and there's this weird line right around the 5th anniversary of Alicent Viserys where it's mentioned that the dragons of the Greens and the Blacks could be seen snapping at each other. Who the fuck on the Green Party has dragons at this point? Aegon and Sunfire at 4 years old. Helena's dragon. It's a confusing line.
Yeah, let me look that up because that is a really stupid line.
While you're looking that up, I'll read this other comment as it's just a whatever not a whatever, like your point's valid, but it's just more of a comment. My biggest fear is that the chemistry between the new Rhaenyra actress and Matt Smith as Daemon might be off. Matt and Millie have insane chemistry.
Mm-mm.
And that is true. I mean, that's the biggest thing. I'm actually really excited for the new Alicent actress. It's not that I don't like the younger actress. It's sort of not talked about, but I'm excited more for Olivia Cook's performance as Alicent, as the younger actress. Feels more how a younger actress should feel in something like this. Whereas Millie, you're like, oh, I want more of this actress.
Yeah. I suppose both of the younger actresses do look more innocent and we're able to relate and think that they're nicer people. And if they're going to be doing darker things, I do have to say that both elder actresses have a little more evil look to their faces, or as they're performing their characters, you know. So so the line we're looking at here is, so long as he lived and ruled and kept the balance, the feasts and tourneys continued as before, and peace prevailed throughout the realm. Though there were some, sharp-eyed, who'd observed the dragons of one party snapping and spitting flame at the dragons of the other party whenever they chanced to pass near each other. And this paragraph is put in between a paragraph on the year 109 and the year 111. So in the year 110, what dragons are there around? And so, like, Aegon II is born in 107. He only would have like a hatchling, if that.
McLean asks, what do you guys think of Ready Player One, Olivia Cook's acting in particular? I thought she was good in Ready Player One, and I'm interested to see her performance as Alicent. That's probably the character I'm most interested in the time jump, just because, again, I'm not that I didn't like young Alicent. I just thought she wasn't my favorite character on the show, so I'm excited to see a different actress playing her.
Yeah, you know, I on this snapping and spitting flames, it's a really poorly placed paragraph, and I think it like, the only way I can justify it, because I do think it's probably just like a poorly placed line, but it's, you know, it's all of a sudden referring to the entire reign of Viserys rather than just like this moment in time, which is poorly placed considering it's between the years 109 and 111. Silly, but we can also kind of justify it in the sense that, like, Maester Gildane will play around with stuff like that, like the order of stuff, in order to try to prove points. And then later you realize that he was kind of bullshitting and like trying to present a story that wasn't there. So this, and I'm looking forward to this when I get to it in overanalyzing House of the Dragon. But this is definitely like, there's no dragons for there to be spitting. So like what he's trying to like make this point that the parties like didn't like each other and there was some sort of like inevitable war that was going to happen between them, when in fact it was an orchestrated Maester thing. And that's, I think there's actually a lot of evidence that the feud between the Blacks and the Greens was not as intense as what's made out in the original written material, because there's also a line where Aegon supposedly says, what, like when Kristen Cole says you're king, he says like, why would I steal the birthright of my sister? And it's like, whoa, that comes out of, because this feud has been built up over years and years and years. But like to Aegon II, he's completely caught off guard. Like, why would I steal my sister's birthright? And that or that like Beesbury being completely caught off guard when the Green Council happens and that moment, and him being confused, like, wait, Rhaenyra's heir. Everybody agrees that Rhaenyra's heir. Like, what? And then him getting either killed or imprisoned. Like, there's definitely a story that Gildane is trying to construct that's not necessarily the what's on the ground. So I think that is a really good catch, that there's no two parties of dragons snapping at each other. That's a bunch of bull. Like, you're completely right. That's all we can have is Gildane trying to like portray something that exists that didn't exist. There aren't green dragons at this point. There are maybe a green hatchling that Aegon has not gotten on top of yet. But that's a really good catch. I look forward to this, analyzing this part in detail when I get to get a little further on. All right. Is there any last thing? Because I'm gonna sign off pretty soon, Phil.
No, we cleared the deck with the voicemails and text. We're good.
All right. Thank you.
I mean, someone had a Star Trek question for me, but we'll take that later.
Is it a good one?
No, I mean it's interesting. It's something about Worf's son, but I'll tell you that off air. But
Okay.
good question, Area 305.
Hey, thanks for everybody. But my voice is gone, and I've been on here like 3.5 hours, so 3 hours and 40 minutes. So I'm gonna say bye to everybody. But thanks for sticking with me, and I'll see you next time.